Hey, you guys. Happy Friday. It's a great day to be in the A, Alabama, that is. How's everybody doing?
Oh, we all right. We all right.
Good.
We don't believe you that it's a great day. You sound tired as hell. All
I'm
Uh,
right.
tired.
Hey,
Yo,
I
this
am
out
tired.
dead
great
to the
Listen,
bud.
let me
day.
just tell y'all this. I keep asking
Listen.
y'all, do y'all want to change this to Sunday? Nobody wants to change it to Sunday because it ain't never available on
Hold on,
Friday.
hold on. I ain't see no vote. I vote for
So you
Sunday.
wasn't a
Vote.
part of the click then.
I
So it
actually
went out.
would vote for Sunday. I would.
It went out. People did not want Sunday, but then they trickle in here all late on Fridays. Like they just have the most extravagant lives.
Well,
And we all
if
know they're just
I
at home doing nothing.
if I may, madam, this is your show, so
You
you
said
tell
what?
them what day the show
if we
is.
did a Sunday, then uh what time would that be? Because I wouldn't do this late on a Sunday knowing we
Oh,
got
definitely
work.
like 6 o'clock right after the other show. 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Isn't football on Sundays?
Yep,
What time do that go off?
depends.
It
Sometimes
don't
Oh,
go
about
off.
10 o'clock.
It just go on and on and on. And if you watch ESPN, that shit will go on. Everything will rewind.
I just go on and on and on and
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I vote for Sunday. I don't care about no game. I watch the highlights anyway.
hmm.
You be watching ESPN, also just keep circling, just same play. That's a you know what that is a great thing. I can get you guys to subscribe to something. I'm just gonna show you the same thing over and over again. The same thing, and y'all gonna watch it over and over again. That's amazing. Now I know what men are about.
no,
So
you're not.
That's because they usually have to be told more than once to get it
oh,
right.
they get it the first
Yeah,
time.
they're
Oh,
like,
they got some a little bit better the next time. Oh.
right.
Oh, so that's how y'all feel? Y'all got the shots ready? You about to
I'm
take both
like,
of y'all
didn't they
back to
just
bed.
show this? Oh, they're showing it again. Oh, surprise again.
Y'all ain't right.
I don't understand it. It is what it is.
Mike, are you into football like that?
Yeah.
Uh, Now, what I don't understand too is like y'all will watch the NFL and college football, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
One's
The
college and
difference?
one's NFL.
One's pro. So college is your college NCAA team. So the regulating agency for college
Mm.
football is the NCAA. It's the most corrupt sports institution in the world. But the NFL is the pro sports league.
Yeah, I
So
know that, but my thing is, isn't I mean, in terms of the difference in playing, like to me, I would choose one or the other. Like y'all sit like,
They don't care. Football is
what do
football.
you mean
Let me
one
tell
or
you
the
this.
other? No,
all
you
day.
consume it. You consume it. Well, so how do I put this? You watch both because you want to know. So boys play a lot of sports. That's our thing, right? Sports, but you also are a fan not of just your team, you're a fan of players. So these players, they have developed systems like max preps and all of this where you can keep up with the world's they classify them too, right? 5-star recruit, 4-star, so on and so forth. So it's like you grew up knowing these kids. So here in this area of Texas I'm in, this West Houston area, these schools win the state championship a lot. Katy High School is like one of the most prestigious high schools in Texas for 5-star recruit. Like, a
Mhm.
lot of recruits come out of this area. So people follow them from youth. It's all integrated here. So
Mhm.
in Pee Wee football, the coach from the high school and the colleges like Baylor and all, they are all the way intertwined in Pee Wee football, teaching them how to run the plays for the high school and the college.
Mm.
So it's like you watch the kids grow up from youth to the NFL. So you follow them as players, and you want to see all the best recruits play each other. So it
Mm.
gets really exciting. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And now they don't even there's a legal way to bet on it. So yeah, it's gonna be bigger than ever.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah,
I guess
for
that's
me, the
like
difference,
HGTV.
well, the biggest difference between is the skill level. You got a whole bunch of people that's developing. You
yep.
have a higher chance of really high scores because defenses aren't able to keep up with a lot of the offenses. So I don't even bother with college unless I'm trying to follow some player. Like
Yeah.
pro is where it's at. I like they're faster, they're stronger.
Yeah,
You know,
the pro is
better.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if I was into football, like I just don't understand football, so I can't even lie. So that's why it's hard for me to get into it. I can do basketball, baseball, like all of those sports, the sports that I played, so I understand it. But yeah, but I still think I would just watch the pro as
Yeah, watch the
opposed to.
pro.
no,
Don't
most
waste your
people
time with
most people
these
watch the
college
pro.
groups.
So right now, college football is becoming more popular than it ever has because of Deion Sanders.
Mhm.
So, it's giving it more of a pro. It's not even pro. It's giving it more of a star appeal. So naturally, that's where most of the star quarterbacks, well, all the star quarterbacks are going to come from the biggest, most prestigious colleges. But now, but you take a look at the stats they're putting up. Caleb Williams put up 6 touchdowns. He's not doing that in the NFL. So you get to watch them progress. But yeah, it's different a little bit. The game speed is a little different. So if you look at the size of the players, it's even funny because they look puny in college, and then you get to the NFL and it's all the big, all the most massive muscular people. So no, most people just watch pro stuff. I know I don't watch college basketball like that anymore. Only NBA, and really I haven't watched college football in years. It's only Deion Sanders bringing all the attention to it this year that made me watch it.
I know some like husbands that just like it will, and their wives that forewarn them, like, I know football season starting, just and they be like, I don't see my husband for like a whole season. I'm like,
I'll be real with you. I'll be real with you. That stuff is make or break in a lot of relationships because I've watched some moms or some older married women will say, "Do you not know that this is his safe space?" And I used to think it was silly when I was young, but now I get it. It's like, why are you antagonizing him during his favorite activity? This is his favorite activity, and you want to bring that up now? Like I've watched that
activities
happen.
are supposed to end at a certain time. From what I see, like it is months on end, day in and day out.
No,
So,
it's not even. Not only is it not months, it's one day a week for a short 4 months of the year. Like football is over at the end of January. Started this September to the end of January. It is short. It is not on TV for 8 months at a time. So
well,
y'all
y'all,
can't even pull
like
that.
Shan said, y'all go back and watch highlights, or if y'all miss one game, y'all go and try to catch the other one that y'all missed. Is a lot. But Shan, go ahead. I see.
Y'all, listen, I'm about to go lay down. I'm about to go.
All right, go ahead with the first topic.
Didn't they used to have sports talk back on Sundays? Bring the sports talk back. Jesus. And I do like football, but I don't want to talk about it right now. So we are addressing the elephant in the room. Last week, well, what was that week before last? We weren't here last week. Week before last, was it? But it was last week. So there were some things that we wanted to address. And so I had an opportunity. I know Priscilla was a big deal last week, not so much this week because people get over things. But one of the things, there were some topics that were of concern because I did have an opportunity to watch her a little bit more after our conversation. There were some things that she so let me just first and foremost, I think that her ideas, her solutions are like the absolute most. Okay, they just will never work. Okay, so that's first and foremost. But I do see how she's pulling people in. And it's certain topics that she's talking about. Like, in her solutions are far-fetched, but there are some topics that she's talking about, and it brings people in. It's kind of like when you say, "Oh, women, they have high body counts," and you're like, "Yeah, that's why I can't get a woman because he's got a high body count. Let's get them all out of here." And it's like this far-fetched, but you're just mad. Because of something else, and you're just like rallying for whatever anybody says because you're just so mad. Does that make sense?
No.
Like I said before, she's the extreme of the red pill. So she's on the other extreme of it. So she reflects the women's side. That's the extreme of the red pill that the men have.
Right.
Sure,
And I think,
sure.
but what I'm saying is men sometimes think that the men are will do too much as well. But for the most part, they get it. So they kind of go along with it. It's the same thing with her. Sometimes you can see like, oh, that wasn't a good idea. But you champion because the things that she's saying make sense. Maybe
Yeah,
the solution doesn't, but the ideas make sense.
sure, sure.
Mm-hmm. I can agree to that. Well, I can agree to some of that. Not all of what she say to me makes sense, but yeah, some of the underlying themes of what she's talking about are definitely things that I can relate. I can see. I can't say that I can relate to all of it just because I have an understanding. Don't mean that I'm personally experiencing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hmm.
So, one of the things, so one of the, this is just an icebreaker. So this week, well, last week, I know we're late, but I'm always a week late. I don't watch social media like you guys do. It's just, but one of the things what's the football, since we're talking about football, the football player who left his girlfriend for Taylor Swift. What's his name?
Travis Kelce.
Travis
Travis,
Kelce.
Travis Kelce. So
He didn't
Travis
leave. He didn't leave anybody for anybody though. He was already broken up from that girl.
So he was so people say, oh, he was with her, but now he's with Taylor Swift. And
Yeah,
I
they
get
broke
it.
up
I mean, how
a
many
while ago.
men would leave their girlfriends for Rihanna before Rihanna was pregnant? I'm just saying. She's like the Rihanna of
She said
now.
girlfriend, Mike, not wife.
But she ain't got
Listen,
nobody.
I would explain to
Why
But
her
are we
that I'm
she's
about
looking
to
for
go
Taylor
white.
Swift? She
But
ain't
on
he's
got
this. I'm
nobody.
white.
about to go get
Who,
this bag
who
on
looking
behalf of
for a
the family.
bioless white girl?
Take
What?
one for the team. I'm about to go get this bag.
I
I'm
don't
just
think
saying.
it's the bag. I think that they really look at her as like the Beyonce, like
The
But she
Taylor
got
Swift.
golden.
nobody.
That's because you're a
It don't
black
matter.
man.
It
He's not
don't
a.
even
Y'all
matter.
keep thinking this man is
You
a black
you
man because he
think
dating a
white
black
man want a
woman.
bodiless white chick?
He's a white man.
Listen. We'll
That's their
continue.
preferred.
We'll get into our. We'll get into our
She ain't got nobody.
breakdown.
My point in
Vivo
saying
Lottie.
this. My point in saying this, there was a whole shebang on on my timeline at least, like all these, so men in particular, black men, was like, aha, how y'all feel about this, and I'm like, what do you mean? How we feel? I didn't understand the question on how we feel about a white man breaking up with a black woman to be with a white woman. That's like asking white men how. That's like asking white men asking white women how they feel about Russell leaving a white woman to date marry a black woman. Like it just doesn't happen. That conversation doesn't take place in other, And my point in this is so much tit for tat. It's like we want each other to suffer so bad. It's like, oh, so we can laugh at each other, and it's just ridiculous. Do y'all not see that?
Well, I will say for one that I don't even understand why. I'm with you on that. I don't understand why they brought up his ex-girlfriend at all. They broke up last year, I
Um,
believe. So yeah, it's been over between them for a minute. He gets with Taylor Swift. Listen, this is obviously, I mean, I'm not even gonna say obviously. I'm speculating that this is just good for him and his career. This is actually what most Hollywood people do. It's not even like they always meet. If you know a few famous people, few sports players like we all know, people in the NBA, NFL, they'll let you know, man, my agent called her agent. You see what I'm saying? It was like, hey, this is a good look. You trying to, so the NFL is even defending their constant playing and attention giving of her because the players are getting upset. Like, it's about the game. No, they're making money off this. This is a money grab. Travis Kelce. Did you see my show where I broke down all the stuff that she has brought to this team?
it was on NPR. Like they was even talking about that on NPR, saying
Oh,
how like his jersey sales have gone up.
man, hold
Um,
up.
She's got
I
like
got
a
it.
whole
increase,
clique. She's got like
Hold
her
up.
yeah,
I
own
got
and
it right
beehive.
increase
here.
in
I
people
got it
that
right
are
here.
now
Hold up.
watching that football team
Hold up.
because of her followers. So now they're trying to follow her. Like, yeah.
His podcast went #1.
Mm-hmm.
His jersey sales increased 400%. and the whole team got 3 times the amount of home game sale. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so women do help uplift men. Okay, I just
This one
this is
did,
the one
honey.
I cannot stand when you do that.
This one right here showing up and showing out. Listen,
let me also say this. Let me say, in the case of Taylor Swift, that's that's who she is. And, because we're not gonna put it, and I don't want, this is to Shan's point, where it's like this is what they're doing to to the black women involved in the situation. He's actually had a few black women girlfriends. Do not. This is Taylor Swift we're talking about. Less than a 1% of a 1%.
Right.
Her value to any man in the terms of popularity is immense. She's a one of one. Only Beyonce and maybe
Kim
Rihanna
Kardashian
can do it. Kim Kardashian kind of toxic. No. The image of Taylor Swift is different.
Taylor Swift ain't toxic?
No. The image.
Oh,
Hold on.
listen.
The
Okay,
image of Taylor Swift is still wholesome. She's allowed in the American household. A lot of people are against some of the shit Kim Kardashian be doing, but or at least the image is not clean. That's what I'm saying. Every man Taylor Swift has been with, somewhat she's been in a relationship with. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
and then
my
she
boyfriend
breaks up with them and writes a song about
but you know that we allow that to say, well, all right, the dude declares himself, they're holding hands. We've always allowed that, especially white people, right? So don't compare his ex-girlfriend to Taylor Swift at all. That woman could have brought a different value to him. It would not, of course, been that of Taylor Swift, but it's a different value, and he valued it at the time they were together until he didn't anymore. So I thought.
But she ain't got no body. How you go from the body of black women to the body of the flattest white woman?
I personally don't know.
How?
Look, she got all the same parts.
Brother.
She has all the same parts. That's why I say you gotta come with more than just the body.
You gonna sit up here and lie and say she got the same parts?
She does. Every woman come with the same basic parts.
Hold on, you're not even understanding what I just
Come on, that's like saying Alexis and a freaking Funky Miata is the same thing. No, it's not the same thing.
Did you notice that as soon as he got with her, he cut his face? Now he looked like a state trooper about to pull somebody over. He was. You heard him, like when he wins the Super Bowl, he was leaning a little too much into his black aspirations to be accepted by black people. For somebody like him, that cuts into your advertising dollars, that cuts into your ability to be marketable. Travis Kelce is ghetto. They actually said that. He likes black women. He wants to be a black person. That wasn't good for his brand. This, obviously, as we saw from that, is very good for his brand. And this is how men who like black women sell it to themselves. This is wifey. She is for my image. She can have all the children. I have satisfied white America by being with her, but I'm gonna be doing my thing over here. You see what I'm saying? That's the shit he doing right now. There's no way he actually is pleasured by that woman in any way.
So, Mike, can I ask you a question?
I do know that. You don't. He likes black women. You can't go. That's the reason I could never like. So for me personally,
has Taylor Swift been connected with dating black men?
No, never.
Never. Oh, never. Okay.
So, Mike, let me ask you a question.
I know that.
Do you think that there is another white girl that may not have the same prestige, but actually has a body that can impact his sales? Do you think there's another white woman out there?
Not at her level.
Well,
she is like, there aren't many people period on her level. Like this is
not
Taylor Swift.
At her level. No, she
okay. Let's say not at her level, but they'll get a boost. Just something.
You know what?
Another white chick like Christina Aguilera, somebody, anybody.
No.
She wouldn't do it. And she ain't got nobody either.
I think that BB
got more body than Taylor.
I think that BB Rexha chick got hella ass, but I can't remember. But I think she a little heavy. Yes, BB Rexha do got a little bit of ass.
Who the heck is that?
She's another one of these white singers,
Yeah, but she's not Taylor Swift.
BB Rexha got.
Taylor Swift is like a mega. She's like a Britney Spears.
She got cellulite and everything.
It's not the same.
Yeah,
So when people say that, so basically what I'm saying is the internet came for you was like, oh, like we're supposed to feel some type of way. No, I understand. Like that's
you
like
know,
a no-brainer. Like
you know who I would hit if I was white? The AT&T chick. That's my type. I'm sorry.
as I sit here and think
AT&T?
of who the AT&T
She the
chick is,
type
like
that
what?
dudes never know she bad until you see her with a dude, and then she start dressing a little more provocative because you done
Oh my
turned her
God,
out.
Mike.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mike,
yo, who is
nobody got time
Shorty?
to be
Like,
Googling
nah, don't be
AT&T
on her
right now.
now. Don't be on her now.
I'm trying to look. That was
I
what back in
did.
the day, the Noxzema girl. Remember she was in all of the videos.
Noxzema
Y'all don't
girl.
remember the Noxzema chick?
Mm-mm.
Oh
Nah.
my
Oh
gosh.
damn. Oh, Rebecca Gayheart. Okay. Nah, she was
I'm
bad
trying to
though.
think
She
of
was bad.
some famous thick white chicks. I'm trying to think.
What?
There's got to be more famous thick white chicks or fine white
It
chicks.
listen, it doesn't matter because they're not the ones who gave him an opportunity. Taylor did. So
Mhm.
y'all, the fact of the matter is this mega star, because she is a mega star, because Kanye blessed her with that. Let's just be honest. She's
All
a
right,
mega
no,
star.
no, let's not do that.
She was
Let's not do that.
big before.
Let's not do
No,
that.
listen. I understand she was big before, but she was not. We did not know her name.
No,
Did we know
like,
her
That's
name?
true.
listen, man.
That's why she
Y'all
won.
gotta stop doing that to that
Okay, but
lady.
what I'm saying to you, did you let me ask you a question one by one?
She's
Did you
more
know who she
famous than
was?
Kanye
Did you know
West.
who she was mistaken?
Yes.
You had heard
I
her
don't
So,
even
before.
listen
so,
to music like
so
that.
hold on, y'all. Hold
She
on,
was
y'all.
on
Hold on, y'all.
pop radio. So you
This is
So,
know
how.
name
her
one song
song.
she made back then.
I can barely name anybody's
Wait,
song.
hold on,
Okay,
No,
hold
so
on. No,
anybody.
case in
Shan,
point,
hold
No,
on,
that's
case in
Shan,
not case
point,
in
Shan, hold
point.
on.
Because
HD,
if you asked me to
HD,
name a Kanye song, I couldn't give you the title of
HD,
his song either.
No,
HD,
we are
HD.
black.
Quite listen, HD. Did you know who Taylor Swift was before Kanye? Be honest.
Uh, yes and no. I didn't know the songs, but I was from. I didn't know she did some of the songs. But I do think she became a little bit more eye popping when he came up there and was like, "Hey, you had a good album, but also Beyonce." I think for a lot of people that didn't really understand her, she already had a fan base. She already
She
was
did. I'm
popping.
not, and
But
I'm not taking that away from her. I'm not
yeah,
saying she was not popping in her own right. I'm just saying the mega star that she is today did not happen till after Kanye.
I
No, so,
disagree.
so, so let's stop doing that as black people. That makes us look stupid to everybody else.
It's not about black. I don't care who
No,
it was.
It's
what
about
I'm saying
First of
is,
all, let me finish talking.
God damn.
Let me finish talking. It's not about me giving Kanye. I'm just telling you that a lot of people, including myself, I did not know who this young. I'm not saying that she was not, a Kelly, somebody who people didn't know. That's not what I'm saying.
Yes, I know what you're saying. We sound ignorant as black people when we say that. She
Like,
was
say
a
what though?
saying that the reason she got as big as she did, even though she
Okay.
already had clout or whatever,
she
that
was
was because of
uh-huh.
Kanye.
So,
But
so
what we're saying
think about the
is,
hold on. Think
she,
about the exact moment. This is how ignorant we sound. The exact moment that Kanye grabbed the mic from her, she won an award over Beyonce.
that's
So
what I
how
was. Yeah,
stupid do we sound saying she would not have been at big? She was on her. She was already an international superstar at the beginning of her career,
Okay.
on the way up to the peak. The peak of her career was probably that shake it, shake it. That's when everybody heard
That
that song. Am
song
I
was not
lying?
out yet. But let me just
No,
say
I
this.
said that. I said the peak of her career was probably that song, and now she's an explosive megastar. She's her concerts by like are sold out. Like she could do it by herself. One Direction and a bunch of other people had to get together. K-pop artists to sell as much as she did. She was an international superstar. And what I'm saying is, we as black people, we love hip hop music. We stay in our own little bubble. We won't hear about that. We don't give a damn about that. I
But
don't listen to those stations that play her music.
what I'm saying is that people did know her song. Even I'll say even for me, I couldn't name any of her songs, but I knew her songs because you would hear it on the radio. Same thing. Like I'm not good with identifying specific songs. Like if you asked me to name a Kanye song, I couldn't tell you the title of his song, but if I hear it on the radio, I know it's Kanye. Same
You couldn't
thing
name
with
one?
her. Huh? No, I couldn't name one. I'm just not good with names of people. It's hard for me to remember, and like title names of songs. But if you play the song, I'd be like, oh, that's Kanye, or that's such and such. I can identify the song itself. And that's what I'm saying. I think for most people, especially Black folk, when it comes to white music as well, like we'll know the songs. Like if it's a big hit, like stuff that she had, we'll know it, but we might not be able to be like, oh, that's from such and such album. Like
I think that you guys are misunderstanding everything that I'm saying. I'm not saying that she was not a mega star. I'm just saying to the point that she is now, you have to say, because even if she comes into my household and she's never been there before, that's more people that have made her a part of their household. Do you understand what I'm saying? So even if it's just Black folk, because it's a lot of us, we ain't white, but it's a lot of us, okay? Mm-hmm. A lot of Black folk did not know who she was.
Well,
they may have heard her song and not knew that was her.
Here's why that's a moot point. Did it make you go buy her album? No. Did it make Black radio stations start playing her music? No. So us knowing who she was or not is inconsequential to her actual value to the marketplace.
Right. So okay. I don't know how this ended up being about a big.
Y'all let this white girl just take over the street.
Right. What she would have done had Kanye not gone on the stage.
And the worst part about it all,
man, that's why I'm like, you can't be dismissing this chick with "You Belong with Me."
I don't listen. I know she's worth it. Are y'all? I'm talking about 13 years ago, not now. Are y'all?
No, that was 2008.
Right, whenever it was. That's a long time ago.
Well, the only part that makes all this bad is that she ain't got nobody.
I knew you was gonna say.
Nobody.
You know what?
Anybody with a body, and we would be okay. But nobody.
If all of the boyfriends she's publicly have hit, she got a high body count. That's crazy.
Well, that was what I was about to say. So I guess for me, and I know this probably wasn't part of the
Let me just say this real fast.
Is the fact that she gets a pass. And if she was like, when we're discussing Black women and their relationships that are public, she a hoe, she a 3 or 4. Oh, she been with such and such, such and such, such and such. But you see how the grace of Taylor Swift public relationships are just that. There is
she ain't got nobody.
Well,
nobody cares about nobody.
Let me just say this real fast, and I like Mistaken's point. Taylor Swift, before Kanye, was worth $16 million. $16 million. Now somebody just posted she's worth $740 million.
She's on her way to being a billionaire. Yes. That has nothing to do with Kanye West.
Listen, we don't know that. There's no way for us to predict that. There is no way. All I'm saying is that income jumped. And it did it between that time because she went from 16 million to 56 million.
But the next day, like
the next year. Next year.
But I'm saying that correlate, if she's already, that's like if I'm already on an incline and I meet somebody on my way up, then you're giving them the credit for me.
I'm just telling you,
already projected to be doing
Here's the craziest part about it. If we did this to a Black woman and gave the credit to a Black man, you would be like, no, she did it on her own.
Oh, for sure. There are plenty of Black people who give a shout out to another Black person and all of a sudden they skyrocket. Like that happens all the time.
Yeah, but Black
whether it be through a beef,
let us say
whether it be through whatever, a shout out in the song, we do it to clothing labels. Oh, I'm wearing this. Next thing you know, it started to pop. Like
shit. Like if
she was, how it is.
He was good for a media boost, a media frenzy. But what I don't want to negate is the fact that in that moment she had won an award, I think over Beyonce and like a bunch of other artists. She was
Mhm.
already going to be the number one pop star in the world,
Okay,
which
I'll
she
just agree to
still is
disagree.
now.
Mhm.
She still is the
Well,
number one pop star in the world.
I'll just agree to disagree.
well, can I just say one thing?
We know she ain't got no body.
Well, I want to move by the body, we push the body to the side.
Body to
But we
body.
can't argue against the fact of the impact that a black person can have on culture and the amount
They
of
don't want to give the shout out because
clicks.
that'll
You
be
know what I'm
saying
saying?
that this don't, they don't want to give the shout out.
No, I can do both. I understand both. It's not
Mhm.
one or the other. It's just in this case, um, well, so the Kanye West
Right.
was a different type
Contact.
of superstar. Yeah, he's a different type of superstar, polarizing superstar. Arguably at that time, the biggest rapper out, right? He was selling out shows with and without Jay-Z. So, we understand the impact he can have, but he was good for a highlight and a media frenzy at that particular time. She was already on her way up.
Mhm.
Her ascension was already set in stone.
But
But
let's look at this though. Okay, so this let's say that a bunch of black people or some other white folks didn't know her, right? And then everybody knows Kanye, whether you're black or whatever, this, that, and the third. He gets up there, right? Makes himself look stupid, right?
And then he did
And
it for and he did it for Beyonce, who has a whole hive of people. Like he did it in the
so
name of Beyonce.
so let's think about this. You got the international people that likes Kanye, and he's talking about Beyonce. So you got these very high level people, and then you're talking about Taylor Swift. So you mean to tell me that at that point, it's not possible that he had some sort of decent impact when he stood up there, made himself look like a fool, and you know how people be Twitter fingering and be like, "Oh, what are you
And
talking about?
she's the
Who this girl?" Da
victim.
da da.
And she participated in none of that willingly.
She
All right.
didn't. We're not
In
saying
fact,
that. We're not saying
yeah.
she's the victim in the situation. We're not saying that. Nobody's taking away the fact that he was wrong. That is not what we're saying.
No, I
We're
still
just
don't
saying
think.
that it did impact a little bit. It did
Well,
boost.
well, look at it. That's what I'm saying. Look at it from my direction. It was good for the one thing that we do now for media highlights. All right. So basically, what it was good for, if they would have started playing Taylor Swift's music on black radio stations, then yes, I would have given the credit to Kanye. If they would have started playing her videos on BET, I'd have gave some credit to Kanye. But what happened in that moment is the equivalent of what Princella did on P a few weeks ago. We've been done talking about that shit this last week. It was like a fart. Like, oh shit, it stunk for a little bit and now it's gone.
She ain't going nowhere. I see her on
Now
more shows now than
I'm talking about whatever that incident was. Nobody's talking about that shit anymore, right? So I don't think it was
Well, I
as a
mean, you're talking
climactic.
about you. You're just not important like that. We're talking about people of great importance. You understand?
So,
I mean, I hate to put a needle in your balloon, but
that was unnecessary. That was a low blow.
I
You just love telling men they're not important, huh? You couldn't wait to get that one off. How long you've had that one in the chamber?
I love you, but I
well,
mean,
I
you can't
tell you
compare
what,
yourself to Taylor Swift. I'm sorry.
I
Wait,
want
hold up. I did not compare myself.
You're
Never
so
mind.
you
I'm
what
done with my
you
analogy.
compared yourself to a celebrity fallout that was on the news for
I
like
wasn't
almost a whole year
comparing
to
myself.
your
I wasn't comparing
situation for
myself at all.
Priscilla.
I was
You
comparing
said
a
that people
scenario.
forget. You said people just like people forgot about yours.
Jan, we need to get off this. You literally took this to another stratosphere.
Oh,
That
okay.
is not what I said at all.
Okay, what did you say?
I'm saying that the way incidents happen, people talk, and it's gone. It's a scenario. That's what I'm talking about. Kanye did something like, "Oh," that made everybody go, "Oh shit," and then we stopped talking about it a week later.
We didn't. It was not
It's
a week
it's not
later.
as it's not as climactic as it was.
No,
We've
it was.
moved. Hold on, we've moved on to something else. Now, Sexy Red got a tape out. That's the new hotness this week. You see what I'm saying? So,
Sir, this young man said, who is Shannon? What's her platform? Kind of, sir, this is my show. Welcome, though. We invite you. I'm glad you're here.
Well, I have something to say about what I had said earlier, and Mike, you had hinted to that fact as well. Is the her reputation is not, I guess, seen as a 304. And I just quickly like just pulled something up just to see what relationship she's had.
She had a lot
And
publicly.
yeah, and right now it's the list that I saw, and I just looked at the first one. It was that it has been 11 different relationships since
Yep.
2008, right? So my thing is, in the Black community,
Yeah.
if we had looked at a Black woman with that many relationships,
Yep.
we would be judging her by a whole different standard and be saying she a 304. She ain't ever gonna
No.
get married.
So
Sierra.
can y'all hear the man's point of view on this? We
Okay,
actually
go
would
ahead.
not be doing it. So there's something. So I said this on my show. I gave credit to Beyonce and I gave credit to Ashanti for this. We don't know those women as 304s. One, Beyonce is a little different. She is the queen, not only as y'all know her, she's the queen of keeping her sexual business to herself. As far as we know, her husband took her virginity. As far as we know.
No, who?
No,
Beyonce?
no. I'm saying she's never alluded to any of her sexual activity. So,
I agree with that. And she
so,
married
so
young.
that's what I'm saying. Ashanti is somebody else who,
She
didn't
was
date
tied to
out.
Marcus Houston,
No, no,
right?
hold on. Ashanti
Yeah,
is
but what
somebody.
he's saying is it wasn't like she had a whole line up. We don't know that she's
Exactly.
dated a
And
lot of
she's
people.
not
Okay,
out
got
here
mhm.
making news of her escapades and making it sound like she's a liberated woman. Ashanti did the same thing. Other than Nelly, who and even Irv Gotti talking about, yeah, I was hitting at her. She never confirmed anything. The difference between women like Beyonce, Ashanti, and Taylor Swift is that if you don't make public the news, don't talk about your sexual exploits. That's the difference between a lot of white artists and a lot of black ones. They Everything about the black female image is sexual. It is embarrassing, and that is why they get that stamp of 304. Any black female artist that has kept her business to herself, that was seen in a relationship with these men and they're spending money on her, they got her arm around. We don't actually say that woman's a 304 because as you can see, high value men still want her for that. Because as far as we know, nobody was smutting you out. All we know is y'all were out at dinner, right?
So
So,
So
that's
it's
what
so
it's
in
it's
you're
the ones that
comparison,
being
real fast,
for.
because I understand what you're trying to say, but let's just compare it to somebody, let's just say, who has been dating publicly. Like we know,
Mhm.
because we know Taylor Swift's boyfriend. We've seen the lineup, okay? They've
Yep.
got like news art, those articles that come up on is like, oh, who are the people that she's ever dated? And there's a list, okay? So let's just substitute that for a black woman. Do you think that we are given the same grace when we show who we've dated, in opposed to white women,
When we're serial daters, because
when we're
that's what
serial
we,
daters?
yeah.
Yes, you're you are given the same grace. That is the distinction I'm trying to make. I have not heard call a woman a hoe that is uniquely feminine, reserved, and dates a lot. The dating is accepted. We all participate in it. It is the overtly sexual ones that sell sex as a means of money in their music and with their body. If they're wearing stuff like you saw the hip hop awards the other night, those type of women, yes, they will get the whole stamp because they don't talk about dating dudes. They talk
Mhm.
about sitting on their face. They talking about eating their ass now. Those women will get the whole stamp. Absolutely.
So let's take it down from a Taylor Swift and the famous people.
Hmm.
So if you met a young lady, because we've talked about in these spaces that you will ask how many sexual partners she's had. So she's just a regular chick. Now, if we look at Taylor Swift, we'll say that these were relationships that she was in. So if a female was saying, well, yeah, I, was in a few relationships, is about 11 serious relationships.
Hmm.
Is she deemed a 304 even though she was in the relationships and y'all are talking about body count?
Nope. Nope. She's not. She's not. And the one, so we all can understand that slim chance on you marrying a virgin. the one thing I do coach men about is the next best thing. I'm not gonna say 11, depending on when you married her, but the next best thing is a serial monogamous woman.
So according to this lineup, she's had 17.
Oh, I know, no, I know
Famous
all the dudes that she's like
Okay.
dated over. That's why I said if she
So if
smashed
a
all them
woman has
dudes,
17
she got a
famous,
high body count. Yeah, if she smashed all them dudes, she got a high body count.
Yeah,
Because
I
how
guess
many
that
people did she have before she was famous?
right? This is just the famous ones. The hell?
I mean, what's that name? Brittany Renner. She said she got 35, and we only seen about 2 or 3.
Yeah,
So
that
if
means
she had
105.
35
AC.
and
That's
Taylor Swift is at
105.
17, so let's do the math
And these
exponentially.
are just the
17
famous ones.
times
They only
3.
show you the famous ones.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's my thing is the double standard when it comes to that. Now I do agree, Mike, with what you were saying in the way that she's carrying herself with it. Like you just said, Brittany Renner, like the way that she's carrying herself with her sexual exploits versus Taylor Swift, it is a totally different look, totally
Yeah.
different. But what I'm talking about is in the space of when men are saying nobody, telling women nobody's going to want you with a high body count,
Mhm.
which clearly that's not true. Or is it true for one group versus another? Is the
No,
Well,
I think. Well, go ahead, AC. I've talked a lot. Go ahead.
I
well,
think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
well. All I want to say is the way that you can avoid the high body count situation, if you have one, is to, as Trigger Mike alluded to, you need to remain ambiguous. You need to be, there needs to be a mystery. Because even if you have a lot of bodies, right? If you don't exude, if you're respectable, you're humble, you cooperative, you know what I'm saying? Even if you have these things, if you can just, you know, remain unwhole-like, you have the chance of sealing the deal. It's just that if we perceive you to be a problem, you're going to be a problem, even if you're not a problem.
Yeah.
say that
So,
again, the perception. So if I okay, if I had 17 bodies,
mhm.
but I carried myself like I didn't have 17 bodies, I'm good.
That's actually so. Not. It's not even about carrying. So let me make a good distinction here. Let me make a good distinction here about women who've been married and claimed by men, but we look at one as a hoe and the other is not. For
Okay.
some reason, I've almost never heard a man call Sierra a hoe. Every man she's been connected to, what, like Bow Wow, 50 Cent, Future, she's been in a relationship with. I've never heard anybody call her like, yo, she a hoe. Nothing, no. But Megan Good, on the other hand, for some reason, dudes be like, man, that hoe. It's the sexualization of everything she's doing, and so if you carry yourself a certain way, it's almost natural that men will give you some type of stamp. Um, Now I'm not in agreement with some of the shit Sierra is doing while she's married, so she might accidentally get that hoe stamp. Another person we don't allude to is Halle Berry. She by this time she's been in a gang of freaking relationships and
Mhm.
marriages, right? Had kids with him, married multiple times. We don't refer to her as hoe. In fact, for some reason, it's polarizing to many men that if you have all this experience and you are still attractive to high value men, it keeps you in a high status position. You do not, and I think the number one thing most of these women have in common, they don't brag about their sexual exploits. Keep that shit to yourself as a lady. That is all you're holding on to. Because for all we know, you were y'all were sitting in the room or in the house drinking wine all day. But as soon as you tell us, "Ooh, I like to ride that nigga face," ho, ho,
All right, Mike, I got 2 things for you. All right.
Okay.
So on the example of Sierra, listen, reason why Sierra gets a lot of flack is because she was with Future. That's why she get a lot of flack. Okay.
But that's one person. Like,
But
one
it's
person.
not
That's
just
all it
one
takes.
person, it's Future.
And then that was her
So,
sensational.
so you
her
guys,
first child.
so you're saying that here's a guy, and that was a poor decision. I'm not going to even, but if
Oh,
people can't make mistakes, so it automatically, what he does, so this is a great conversation because that lets you know that one guy can throw your whole value off. Y'all be sitting here advocating for people dating these little, just giving anybody an opportunity,
Hold on.
but that one guy can just just devalue you
Okay, how
immediately.
many
I
baby mamas?
agree.
Hold on. How many
Well,
baby
that's what
mamas does it
that's
take to ruin a man's life?
community D. Remember how we were talking about it does sometimes have an impact, like men sleeping around. So I know y'all are tying it to her, but the reason is because he's considered community D. She ends up getting with him, and now her
she's
reputation, her
she's not
judgment,
even community, but
yeah,
like she's
and
just
she getting
he's
hat
trying to,
right.
just because she gave him an opportunity, she could have been loyal to him just because of his reputation. She's trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's
Yes,
future. That was future.
bro.
And then
It put a stain on the
not
record.
only was it future, but then also you go to Russell and the behavior she's exhibiting while she with this man that we were perceived treating and
So
doing
what
the
her
things
so
for her.
that's a good question. So how is her behavior any different from Beyonce's?
Well, first
Who?
of all, Beyonce just put her stuff in a video. She don't be putting that stuff on Front Street. And a lot of her
It's still
leotards,
on.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying, it's just her leotards. And plus, a lot of the songs
No.
people attribute her talking about her and her husband. Like, I ain't gonna lie. There's one song that Beyonce has that I don't turn a bad eye to. It's a song called Partition,
yeah, I
and
was
she
just
come out
about
here,
that.
the instrumental, I ain't gonna lie, and just the imagery, I'm like, okay, all right,
Hold on, bro. Hold on,
I
bro. There's one
Search
distinction
for it.
because I'm not a Beyonce fan. I don't even feel like defending her. But I have to make my point on this because I staked my whole argument on it. Was she talking about doing that to some man, or was she talking about doing it to her
Her
husband?
husband.
Well,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
what I said. I said
Oh,
that a
okay.
lot of the songs that she presents, besides Single Lady and whatever, the songs insinuate her relationship with her husband. So
Mhm.
Question.
she's just talking about her experience with her husband, and they'll give her a pass because they like Jay-Z and they like her. But I have another point. So one thing I wish women would understand: if you were to ask guys, this is the scenario, y'all at the altar. You done paid all the money. You ain't worried about no prenup. Everything is gonna go. The second you say I do, you just need to get to the words I do, right?
Mhm.
Right before you say I do, somebody hands you the phone. And in that phone, it's your woman having sex with another guy. Now, granted, she can add clarity, she can add reference to it. Hey, this was 15 years ago, right? There's a lot of brothers that even though this is not fair and it doesn't always make the most logical sense, but the fact that he is seeing this video, there's video evidence of the thing that you did. Video evidence. It could have just been hearsay. But now that we got evidence and I can see it, and I see another man in the woman that I'm about to commit to, there's a large number of brothers that will sit there and say, I can't do it.
Can't do it, bro.
But that's a horrible place for that to come out. But
Ashanti
let me
got
just
it
show
beat up.
this. This is a Beyonce picture.
Mm.
Is this not y'all saying okay because she's
Provocative.
You have a valid
Her
point.
whole
I'm
ass
not
sounds
going to.
got
I'm
tax
not
on.
going to. But I also think that she's not the most strong representation of the faith she claims to speak about. Like her music ain't
Not the
really
greatest.
faith based or
Not the
Christian
greatest.
based. It's just this is not.
That's just proof that the whole thing fucked up now, boys. Just pay
Yeah, because
no, man.
you was like, oh Beyonce. Oh,
No.
Oh
I
no,
said
we
keeping.
never was
I'm
big
talking
on
about.
Beyonce like that.
So, yes, provocative pictures. Jay Z, what were you thinking? People be like, "Oh, she's famous." Nah, my wife couldn't wear that shit, right?
Mhm.
But remember, the one thing out of everything is, do you exploit with your tongue? Do you talk and promote? Like, it's funny to me that Sexy Red is upset about this sex tape leaking when she is literally like next to the word ratchet. There
Mhm.
needs not be a silver chrome plated tool It needs to be Sexy Red. A picture of that lady. She is the representation of all things ratchet. Her nickname is the Raw Dog Queen. And you are upset that there's a sex tape out about you that you didn't give permission to release. So she talks about these things. She manifests it out into her life.
And she had a bonnet on.
She wants. Wait, you seen the
Like, girl,
video?
do your hair.
Oh, you
Hold
never
on.
seen
You said that she openly claimed to be the raw dog queen?
that self-proclaimed. Nobody called her that. She calls herself the Raw Dog Queen.
So let me just close. So the reason why I brought Beyonce, because you know the Beehive come after you, honey. The reason why I brought Beyonce in this situation because we were talking about Ciara, who is also an entertainer. They are both entertainers. So you can't say one is one way and not the other because they both have the same jobs. Now one may be more successful than the other one. I will not take that away, but they both have the same job title.
Mm-hmm.
So why is
one
it
of them
okay
mess
for
with
one?
Future.
But not okay for the other, and they're both married.
Yeah,
Well, one mess with Future.
and
Who-
she
who's
The
said
other one's working on Instagram.
outside of just her booty picture that you just showed, she on the Oscars one time she wore a see-through gold dress where you could see her whole titty. She just had like pasties over her titties.
Yeah,
And let's
these,
not act like. And
Who
let's
did
be
that?
clear.
Huh?
Let's be
Who did that?
Okay. Look,
Beyonce?
now you gotta look for that picture.
she wears things
Oh, y'all typing it in
no,
real
don't
quick.
get no. Listen, let's get something clear. I think Beyonce is a class. Like I don't think that I'm not trying to knock Beyonce because I think that Beyonce is a great entertainer. I'm not saying anything's wrong with what she's doing. What I'm saying is Ciara's doing the exact same thing. I don't see anything wrong with either of them doing what they do because they are entertainers. But what I'm saying is, why is it that we judged Ciara so harshly, but we don't do the same for Beyonce? Because let's be real, let's be honest. Ciara's always been
with the husband. I think they think Russell Simmons. Oh, go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is because Ciara has always been a sexual person. Before she came out, her music, she's always been a sexual dancer. And that was her thing. Even when she was a virgin, she had the little sexual writing.
The answer is in what I said about Beyonce. Other than her husband cheating on her, which she basically had to come out to try to get on top, like get in front of, so she wouldn't be embarrassed. She had to respond. We don't know anything about her sexual business. The people who we comment on and judge harshly always give us business, their business to comment on.
Does Ciara give you business?
Yes. She'll create songs, she'll create movements. Me and Russell aren't having sex before marriage. Like they broadcast everything, every step of her beginning and all the way up to the marriage to Russell Wilson. She broadcasted that shit. She allows us to comment by giving us commentary of her own, allowing us into the relationship.
Comments are coming now after the marriage. So she's leading up to the marriage. She's saying, you know what? I'm doing things differently. I pray. Hold on. She said her man prayer, or whatever everybody be talking about, and that she held herself together until she got married. So after she was with Future, I guess, and this is kind of what we were talking about not too long ago. Was it yesterday? About how when women come to their senses and decide to say, you know what, I'm going to do things differently because I want a different outcome. So for her, she publicized, you know what, I learned from this situation. I'm doing it differently. And she ended up getting married. And now I think the issue isn't so much so about Ciara. She's catching a slack. But I really think men have the issue with Russell. And so because they had, he's a simp because he dealt with her, I think that's where the slack is coming from on her end. Because when the only difference with her and Beyonce, which I get this point, is the fact that she had kids prior to her getting married. Right?
Not just kids. She had Future.
Well, she had Future's kid before she got married. But in terms of the way she carried herself after being married and the way Beyonce carries herself being married, both of them are entertainers. So they're doing the same thing. You see Beyonce twerking, you've seen Ciara twerk. Ciara had on a see-through outfit. Beyonce had a see-through outfit on.
Where is Beyonce twerking at?
It's the same thing, huh?
Where's
Wait, when
Beyonce
is
twerking at?
Beyonce outside of single ladies? She don't be twerking like that. It don't be on Instagram.
Wait, hold on,
You're
because
not
this is
kidding me.
hold on, y'all, because no, it's completely different. And well, let me put it this way.
They just see it different. It's just a
Let me
perception.
just put
It's
it this.
basically
Men
it's the
interpret
same
this
thing.
stuff completely different because the demeanor, I do not agree with her as an entertainer wearing some of the shit she wears, but I would absolutely want my wife to embody some of the habits of Beyonce. She is extremely reclusive, even over her children. It's like you only know what she wants you to know, right? Because she understands exactly what you are going to do with that information. If the rumors are to be true, she called Sean Paul and asked him if he started the rumor about them messing with each other because of this affects her image. Her words, not mine, her image. She is extremely protective of her image. And any man knows that if she's protective of her image like that, if we become family through marriage, she will protect my image and the image of our family the same way. Sierra doesn't do that. Beyonce does.
I don't see. I don't see a difference. I really
Now, do
don't.
you think that that has everything to do with leadership in terms of what is considered, what the husbands are saying is okay? So
Absolutely.
if the husbands are saying it's okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
But that when you say we have a problem with Russell, first of all, I like who Russell Wilson is. I don't understand why people give him such a hard time, like he's supposed to be a thug or something. That's just niggas talking. Black
Mm.
people understand and respect, black men rather, not niggas. Black men respect Russell Wilson. Not necessarily for what he did. I wouldn't have married Sierra, but it's who he is, and at least you already did the deed. This is how you are presenting your family out to the world, and you're basically saying, "Judge me, dog. It is what it is." So at some point, you got to give him his respect for what he's doing and how he carries himself. Um, Talks about God. He keeps God in his relationship and keeps it centered to his family. The bad part is that he contradicts himself when he lets her wear shit like she wore what earlier this year. That was too much. The dude was visibly uncomfortable. Every dude know what it's like when you're standing next to your wife and you just here she go with this outfit on again. Like, no, you that's absolutely that was some sucker BS, man.
Yeah,
That was some sucker BS.
I think there's a difference between our actual respect for him as a person and
Yeah.
him being a husband to this woman.
Oh, good one. Good
I
one.
think that, we do have a respect for him because of how he carried himself and how we watched him in his interviews and, how he carries himself for the franchise, right? But now, even when we look at Russell Wilson and the conversations behind him behind closed doors and how he was as a teammate and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff going downhill about his respect level. And then his woman isn't helping with that either. But I think that when it comes to I do think there's some credence that you guys are saying as far as looking at who the husband is will make you adjust some of your responses to their woman. Because even though Beyonce got her butt cheeks out, right? We just sweep it under the rug. Nobody care. We like Beyonce, we like Jay-Z. But when it comes to Sierra, we see the twerking videos and she's half naked, for promotion reasons. And then you got Russell Wilson, he's not doing too well as far as in the game now. And it's
And
just
she
like
is blamed
there's
for it. Like,
there's just a whole bunch of stuff that's like swirling around that relationship versus the Beyonce and Jay-Z because it's like they know a lot of stuff about Jay-Z and Beyonce, but it's not in front of your face the same way as it is with Sierra and Russell. Like
It kind of
it just
is in
ain't
front of your face. It is in your face. I just think that you just look at it different, and I see why. They're just two different people. I get the whole thing, but my question is, what if it was Rihanna? If Rihanna were to marry
if
Russell,
Riri mess with Future, that's
no,
the
no, now
question.
they say take Future out of it because listen, if Riri
Plays a big part.
because Riri's had some people in the past that we be like, oh, that wasn't a good look, but if Riri would have married Russell, would it have been the same?
Hell no. He be having mad respect for marrying Riri.
Why? But you understand, like, why though?
It's like the woman is different the
Yeah.
imagery,
Yeah,
like,
but
and
we know
what? And
Rihanna
she
don't
didn't
know.
have no kids before she got with
Rihanna don't
ASAP.
care though. Rihanna like, yo, matter of fact, she wouldn't even care about us having a conversation. And she's like, she'd be like,
Yeah.
I
I'm
know, but that
interested.
also goes to Trigger Mike's point of the perceived thought of this woman. If we think she's a respectful, respectable woman, like she's humble, she's reasonable, she's got a great personality, a lot of people, like even her interviews on national TV, most people don't have no problem with Riri. And she disappeared just like Beyonce. When you disappear and people don't see you, even if they know you did some stuff, it's like out of sight, out of mind. And like I said, if Riri would have been with Russell, we'd be like, hey, listen, Russell, you that guy. But because he was Sierra, who was messing with Future, and he jacking up, and his girl out here in the streets with her cheeks out and her body and this and the third, I mean, can you blame the people for looking at this dude unfavorably?
Yeah, I'm just trying to wonder how she's being dragged into it. If he ain't playing well, it's her fault.
right.
But when he was doing well,
seems
when y'all
like
giving her credit,
I mean, no, it's not. It's not a direct. I'm sorry. It's not. We can't make a direct. But for those of you that know sports enough, home life is extremely important to these players' playing ability. Tom Brady won a freaking Super Bowl with a brand new team, marriage intact, wife at the game, cheering. Then he said, "I'm retiring. I'm going back to play." She got all his bullshit in the media. That nigga was hot garbage. So their life and what's going on in their life can affect it, but we're not gonna say we don't know if it's her or not. So that's unfair. Yeah, you're right.
It
but
was
do she
an
get the same
immediate
credit
shift.
when
It
he's
went from here
playing
to there.
good?
Huh?
I
so.
said, was she getting the same credit when he was playing good?
Yeah, like well, if you play sports before, so have y'all heard the Kobe story?
Mm-mm.
Kobe. So this is you. Damn, you have not heard me say. Go back, and this is one of my marriage things that when I'm like, all right, how about y'all go back 20 years? The star player of every single 90% of the star players on every single NBA championship team every year is a married man. It's because Kobe, um, my college roommate went to high school with Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza was on the Lakers. He got drafted to the Lakers with Kobe. So him and Kobe were really cool. And he told in his story, we were talking when he played for the Rockets. I met him and we were talking and he said, you know what Kobe used to do? He's like, he had reprimanded one of the younger players that had like no money. He was on a rookie contract. He bought the same car as Kobe and was like trying to brag. And Kobe was like, "You dumbass! I'm Kobe. I got this car for free. This is promotion." Yeah, right. So he said, "All of you little rookies," he said, "meet me in the gym." They all showed up tomorrow morning, and I'm going to teach you how to get your game better and get your life right. They showed up in basketball thinking that they were going to play ball. He said Kobe showed up in like sweats and sat them all down and said, "This is how. If you want to improve your game, you need to improve your life. That woman you are with, that you're messing around with, whatever. If you have a child with her, talk to her, go get some counseling, and marry her. That will help your game. An organized home life will
Mm-hmm.
help your game." Like he told them that type of stuff. Organize your life in this way so you can focus, so you can have somebody making your protein shake and hey, babe, you got practice and all that time. All of the star players were married. Go back, all of them. Steph Curry, champion. Michael Jordan, champion. LeBron James, champion. They're like all married men who have their life organized in a certain way, right? So that's really what I'll say as far as the sports thing is concerned. Their home life severely impacts their game and playmaking ability. But
Okay, so thank you, Mike. So I wanted to ask a question about. Oh God, I just got y'all. I got sidetracked. My apologies. So my next question is, one of the things that's brought up is community and what we as a community, what our downfall is. I think that somebody you just mentioned about marriage. Most of the successful men who are athletes, correct, were married. Am I correct? What you just said? Is that correct?
Repeat the question. You said
You were
all the
saying that most men who are athletes were married,
no,
successful.
the
Who's
champions, the
successful?
NBA, the champions are married. Yes,
The champions. So
yeah,
the best of the best
the best
were
of the
married.
best.
Okay.
Yes.
So with that being said, and we know we did an episode of maybe a year ago about black billionaires because we
Hmm.
have too many millionaires but it's a smaller sample size. They were all married. Do you
Hmm.
think that marriage is really the downfall of our community?
The
The
downfall.
like the lack of, I'm sorry.
Yes, yes,
Do
absolutely.
you would you rank it as probably number one?
It is number one. It is number one. It's number one. It has to. I mean, when people say, well, what people will normally say to that is, "Oh, you don't have to be married to raise a good family." Like, come on, y'all. Especially the woman. If a woman is going to live under a roof with you, birth your children, wash your stinking ass drawers, and then has to go intermingle with other families and women that are married, she gonna want a ring from you, dog. So it don't matter what she's saying right now, and it's like, oh no, we don't got to get married. That's an antiquated institution. Bullshit. That woman will want an exclusivity contract from you. So yes, there is no other way to do it. Marriage is the cornerstone of every community, and without it, there is no foundation to build on.
Why do you think it's so hard for us to to grasp that concept or to implement that concept?
It's fake. The lack of knowing it is fake. People are afraid they cannot uphold the institution, so they got to pretend they don't like it. They were not given the example. Man, listen. I am a black man in a, mixed-ish suburb. When I go to the grocery store and I got my kids in that little race car cart thingy, and I'll walk past maybe a 16-year-old black kid, 18 and 19-year-old, be like, just trying to be like you one day, dog. Like they'll just say stuff like they understand that this is either something they didn't have or something that they aspire to. They know that, and I usually can tell that kids, even like some kids that are with their mama, they just kind of wish. I can tell, like, man, their dad must not be around. The way that they're looking at me like I'm a unicorn or some shit, right? They know that this is right without even a, this is the way it's supposed to be, and it makes them lash out if they didn't have it, if they didn't have a good example of it. It makes some of them hate their mothers, right? So yeah, I see all through all the bullshit. When you don't have something, you have to pretend not to like it. They're afraid of the institution and their inability to uphold it, so they got to pretend that it's bullshit altogether.
So, do you think that if there was a specific game plan, because a lot of what I hear, especially, and I'm going to say from the men's point of view, of why they're afraid of marriage is they're saying things like, because women typically are the ones that divorce. So, they're going to get half all my stuff or take me for everything that I got. They're going to take the kids away, like all of those things. Those are legit, concerns,
Yeah.
right? But my question is that if there are laws and things in place to kind of offset some of that, then how come men don't utilize those options? If we're saying marriage is a cornerstone of community, we
Yeah.
see the results that it have and the impact that it had on children, the positive impact, and the positive impact on men themselves, whether it is economic, in terms of job, and health. So we see all of the benefits of that.
Yeah.
So my thing is, why is the answer is not get married at all, as opposed to pushing a message of these are the steps you need to take before you get married.
Because,
So if the
yeah.
divorce happens, if these
So
things happen.
I gotta be real with you. That's the way we talk in this country, and we got to realize that's not the way it's supposed to be at all. We
Mhm.
are not supposed to be talking about prenuptial agreements. What the hell is that? Every ethnic group in this country right now that does marriage well at a 90%, they have extremely low divorce rates, like less than 10%. Africans, Asians, Indians, what it's like 99% that they're going to stay together. None of these people have a prenuptial agreement. You need people as intentional and as purposeful and that understand what marriage is about. That is the only thing that will make men comfortable, especially black men, comfortable with marriage again. You cannot, like, we are not, we have social media that works the opposite for men. So women use it to get one effect, men use it in the other. Just today, just scrolling that video of the woman taking her vows, and she paused it for richer for poor, and she paused it obey. It was like,
Mhm.
we didn't talk about that. That 500,000 men was like, fuck that. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, this what we got to look forward to? Absolutely not.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So, why do you think that we don't value kids enough to want to do it?
Oh man, you know what, Shan? This is gonna sound crazy. You are supposed to value. So that's me. That's me all day. It is not just about my wife. I do love her dearly, but most of the things that I'm doing, and the reason I won't never leave, is actually because of my children. My children are my legacy. This family that I created in totality is my legacy. Marriage is a total experience. Like, my children do not, their social, emotional, and behavioral makeup all comes from me. And if I'm not here to instill that in them, I failed. Right. So the reason I even stopped some arguments, like, man, that shit ain't worth it, is because of my children. You're supposed to care about your legacy that way. But now we realize that in this day and age, people just care about love. The child, children are birthed for irresponsible reasons. And unfortunately, and it's my belief that most of the women who have children out of wedlock, the child was supposed to come with the man. And once the man is no longer in the picture, the child is somewhat insignificant to them.
Yeah, I would say that largely a lot of men don't want to get married is because of the responsibility that comes with it. You don't have the same authority with a lot of women because of the mindset and what women have accumulated and stuff like that. So you're constantly having an uphill battle as typically with black men because we're socialized to not try to exert too much control because it's not looked at as something because a lot of women see the control and authority that a man should have in a relationship as slavery. So now they don't feel like they free, even though they free as a bird. They take your money and then keep their money, but yet they still feel oppressed. And then you got to understand that a lot of men naturally do not want to be monogamous. Like the big question that pauses a lot of men is like, I gotta choose just one. So if you gonna be the one, this got to be the best one ever for most guys. Now, the smart guys that actually do decide to get married, they find somebody that's reasonable or somebody they feel like they're sexually attracted to, and then it actually feels like it makes some sort of sense, and then they'll be like, all right, I think this is a good bet. I can talk to her. We got reasonable conversations. She's not making me look dumb that I know of. So some brothers will make reasonable decisions, but I think the two biggest things why a lot of brothers ain't getting married is because don't want to deal with the responsibility and they don't really want to be monogamous. They know that at some point in their mind, they're setting themselves up to have an uphill battle trying to be something that they really aren't.
So I think Mike had said this. I think a lot of it is grounded and based in fear. Like when we look at it, if majority of black households were single-led households, right? So if they were majority single-led households, you didn't necessarily have an example of marriage, didn't necessarily have example of what it is to be a husband or a father, right? From the male perspective. Same thing for female. You didn't have an example of what it is to be a wife, or parent, together with your partner. So I think that fear, and I do think it's a rational fear to some degree, but I also think it's irrational because you have the ability to learn and adapt and make adjustments in order to secure a healthier marriage. So even though you didn't necessarily have an example, you have access to things to be able to learn how to do that. And so it seems like a lot of times what happens is a lot of the energy is spent on why I shouldn't get married. All of these things can happen. So the focus is all on the negative aspect of marriage, where they know it like the back of their hand, versus utilizing the energy to say, okay, here's some successful marriages. Let me look into what made these marriages successful. How can I replicate those same things so when I look towards getting married, that I can increase my chances of staying married. I just think it's easy to say, you know what, I won't get married, then deal with women who's going to give them the benefits of marriage, which is on us. I can't blame the men for that. Give them the benefits of marriage without the responsibility for it.
Um, we're very hopeful. We're a very positive and optimistic people, but we got to realize the truth is that people rarely seek out what's good for them until they have no choice.
That's true.
Everybody is going to realize here that it's not me being pessimistic. It's literally a cycle in life that always happen. Even in the country, we are due for war. We are due for a catastrophic level event, like, God forbid anything like this, but you see, like 9/11, it brings the whole country together. Just got kind of galvanizes people and makes you recognize your purpose. We are due for another one of those events because now everybody's an individual. We cannot make you realize that we need each other. So therefore, nature's going to have to do it for you. Um, I personally think it's idiotic, right? Because I was taught the benefits of marriage. It was modeled for me. Nobody ever had to tell me I was going to be married. I kind of just knew. So I understand that people did not have, many people in the society, especially Black America, did not have that example. Cool. But now we're going to get to the basic needs and necessities of life because you're out here touting that you could do this alone and you cannot. You can't. Nobody, not man nor woman, can actually be alone. Men can survive on their own, but without women, we wouldn't really want to. We wouldn't want to survive. What for? Right? So, and women need us physically to survive, right? So it's gonna take a event like that, and that's when you'll really start to see people want to search for a different perspective because they have absolutely no choice. Their survival is on the line, and then they'll have to look up and look at the people who are keeping their head above water, and it will be people who prioritize either marriage, family, remaining in groups, strength in numbers, all of that, and society will just move back into that, move back into that of importance. And here's the weird part about immigration. I don't like it, the number of it happening, but there is a positive. There is a positive. Most of these people are bringing their values along with them. And that is something we have lost. The traditional ethnic groups within this country have lost all moral value and character. Like we don't uphold ourselves by anything other than get that bag, get that money, pussy popping on the handstand, my booty hole brown. Like that's gone. These people need to bring their morals and values from all areas and teach us that shit again. That's my what I
So you think so you mentioned money. Do you think it has a lot to do with people valuing money over family as
absolutely.
well?
And Shan, this is the worst part about it. That we have to say it's women that value money. It's women that value money. Men haven't really changed on that.
So when I say that, because I hear a lot of men say, I don't want her to take half.
Well, here's let me even clarify that part first. It is not even just about a woman taking what they have. It's about a woman dictating what she gets to do with it. I don't know any man that will willingly want a woman to decide what happens unilaterally with those children. The judge is lying if they think that we both are going to make a decision. No, as I always say, women being a woman, I could probably understand feels like you feel powerless at times, which is why any little bit of power that you get, over do it a little bit. And that's what men are. I do not want a woman basically icing me out on my children's lives out of spite and making every decision, what sneakers they wear, what child's friend's house they go to without me. So it's not just taking half money, right? Because there's other things we can do with that money. Think about it this way, Shan. To pay out any significant amount of money is one thing. That's not what breaks the family apart. If I had to pay mortgage here and then go pay mortgage in my own damn house, that takes away from the efficiency of my house and what we do for our kids as far as enrichment activities, sports, all of these gang of stuff they do. That is severely diminished now because I got to go pay rent or mortgage somewhere else, right?
I have a question. So that sounds like we're talking about child support, correct? So
Sure.
because the problem isn't them having kids, because people are having kids. It's the part about getting married.
Yeah.
So obviously child support, yeah, it's a problem, but it ain't that much a problem with they not having kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But for whatever reason,
which
they're
the
not going to get married.
what would happen whether they were married or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, having sex is fun. Getting married ain't always fun.
So you're saying that the men are choosing happiness over?
No. I think men are like, so men want relationships. The worst part is that people are acting like men don't want relationships. They will tire. I think men just end up getting tired because remember, some ladies, older ladies used to be like, get with a man that's already tired. Like I could see myself right around this age if I was still single, getting tired of the cycle, going out, spitting the game in the girl's ear, come back here, I smash you, then I gotta tell you get out. That shit gets tiring. Eventually, when you see like people who I am now, when I was in my 20s and I would see them, I would start thinking about my legacy. Like, do I want that one day? Do I want a family that looks like his? And and the answer was yes, I better start focusing on what type of woman is going to give me that. Because it needs to be, she needs to be just as intentional as I am about keeping this family together, riding through the rough times and all of that. So, I think men still want it. They're just kind of hopeless now because especially if you like black women, oh my God, the stuff that are coming out of their mouths and they're saying out of their mouths and this declaration of independence, it's not sexy and it doesn't give men hope. But as far as the money thing, this is what I don't understand. Any woman that talks about getting a bag but is against marriage is an idiot to me.
Are women against marriage?
Yes.
Not the great majority. I think you're talking about
Oh
ratchet
my
women on
God.
Instagram.
But remember, Shan, they're on when it's brought up in a style that makes them defensive, they'll be against it in that moment. They're only women are the ones saying you don't have to be married to be like you. Think about it. Your whole life, most women have been told you have to find it, or you should find a man, or they've heard it from other women in other ethnic groups. Oh, you don't have a man. Y'all use it as shaming tactics to each other. That's why your ugly ass ain't got no man. Like, you know what I mean? So we've watched women do that to each other. So we know that it's embarrassing now for women who are a certain age. It could be embarrassing and either aren't engaged or aren't married. So yeah, a lot of women on these spaces saying you don't have to be married. I can get this all by myself. And the worst part about it is I think that's crazy. Two has always been greater than one. The women who own all the wealth in the United States are married women. All of it.
I will add this. I think it's important to note that women aren't against marriage. They're against marrying early. They want to experience what they want to experience. They want to do what they want to do. They want to build everything, like I said, women are starting to see marriage as slavery. They see it as something that is holding them down from doing what they really want to do. And they're like, shoot, well, I can do whatever I want. And just like when, Mike was talking about how brothers get tired, until I'm tired of doing what I want to do, and then I want somebody else to, help out, then I'll do something. But most times
So
than not,
so HD,
women aren't against marriage. They're
so
aren't against
you're
marriage. They're
saying
just
that
pushing it off.
they're against getting married early,
Yep.
so they prolong their single phase. I don't want to say whole phase.
I
They
don't think that that's true.
prolong their
It's definitely a
single
whole phase.
phase, which in turn makes them less desirable to marriageable men. That was smart.
Correct.
I
I,
think both
I,
men and women are on the same page in terms of when we look at the stats in delaying marriage in general because of the mindset. I think men are taught to get that bag, get your money up. You gotta, be able to have these things if you're gonna try to have a family. Sow your wild oats while you're young. Do all of these things. So I think men are getting the messaging in that way, like have your stuff together before you get married. Whereas I think women are getting the messaging of enjoy your 20s because once you marry, you ain't gonna be able to do any of that. So enjoy it now. And so I think in both of those messages that it's delaying marriage for both men and women. So I
Yeah.
think the messaging needs to be different. I think that we need to push, which I've heard you say before, Trigger Mike, which I wholeheartedly agree with, is learning what it means to build together.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's definitely one of the big things to push, but also how do you make marriage look sexy to somebody young and fun? Like I still did the same things married with my husband, like the hanging out, the
Thank
going
you.
to clubs, going, traveling or whatever. I still did those same things. I just did it with my husband and I still had a great time. We would go clubbing together. That was fun. We would go traveling together. That was fun. So I think those are the things that we need to focus on when we're talking about marriage, because for some it seems like it's so much responsibility that you don't have the opportunity to have fun with each other.
you know what? I disagree with this. I really do. I disagree wholeheartedly. And I'm not saying all, but majority of women, even young, want to be married. If they're with a guy and they've been with him for a considerable amount of years, which a lot of 20-year-olds are, they
Hmm.
want to get married. Now, it may not happen. They may be okay with not getting married because he hasn't popped the question. And so they just
Yeah.
ride it out and find out that he's never going to do it. So they move on. But I don't know
Yeah.
many women who their first, in their mind, even as kids, they dreamt of this wedding, right? They didn't dream of
Yeah.
traveling. If you went, listen, when you're a child, you're not, especially at our age, we weren't dreaming of traveling. That's some new shit. You feel me? That's
Some
new.
dumb
I mean, to not to you, what I'm saying is to put it on Instagram traveling and stuff. Yeah, you had dreams of traveling, but every girl, especially during our age, had a dream of being married. We just did. Okay. That whole traveling lifestyle that became popular maybe 10, 15 years. Yeah, you have people who travel, but it's become like crazy, popular now, since Instagram and all that kind of stuff came about. But that wasn't like, oh, girl, I ain't about to get married in my 20s. I'm about to travel. Like, that's some new stuff. That wasn't the reason why people my age wasn't getting married. They wasn't getting married because they was with the wrong dude. They spent too much time with the wrong Negro. And
Yeah,
that
but
is why they not married.
wanting to get married and positioning yourself the right way, like being intentional about it, I think are two different things. So you're a woman, I'll believe you if you say that's what women want, because y'all talk in those circles and y'all remember. You're right. I think
Listen,
w-
women will sit here and say, "Oh, I don't want that." In the back of their man, they want to commit. They'll say what you want to hear so that they could, get in there. Hopefully, you'll change your mind. That's how women work. They feel like, "Oh, he'll change his mind. He'll want." They for whatever reason they feel like they can change a man's mind. And so they stick in there, and then they stick in there, and they realize later on, 5 years later, they ain't changing his mind. Now you done spent 5 years, because I'm telling you, most women have been in a long-term relationship before. Most women are not just hopping around from what I mean, nowadays they probably are. But at some point, they were just in these long relationships that just did not end in marriage. It's some people right now in a long relationship, and guess what, sister? It ain't gonna lead in marriage. He's non-committal. He wants you for right now, but he ain't willing to make it a commitment, a
Well,
true commitment.
I don't think that we should try to make marriage fun. I don't. I think that defeats the purpose of what marriage entails and what is necessary
Marriage
to
is
sustain it.
It's fun. What?
marriage
No,
is fun.
I
He
I
said
agree.
his marriage wasn't fun.
I agree with Harrison, but finish. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, I'm not saying that you can't have fun, but the idea of marriage ain't fun. You're asking people to sign up for a concept that has existed since before they even were born, thousands of years, and you're asking people to maintain something longer than they've ever had to maintain their whole entire life. And you're also asking them to do something that's not natural. It's not natural for people to choose just one person. So now you want them people to be committed to an idea that a lot of people don't believe in God anyway. So you want them to be committed to something that they can't say or that they don't really believe. You want them to also consider keeping this for a long time when everything in their life is temporary. Their life is temporary. Their relationships are temporary. So you want them to build a structure and a system that's not necessarily designed for fun and be like, oh, let's just make this fun. It's not fun. It's
So
beneficial
So,
and you can grow and you can do these things and you can do things to make it, last longer by how you interact and build. But the idea and the things that you have to do to maintain ain't necessarily fun. Duty ain't fun.
exactly. I
It's
was gonna say.
I,
So
responsibility.
I'm
I
right,
in
understand
no,
what.
relation.
real
Go
fast,
ahead.
but
No, go ahead.
uh,
Go
you're
ahead.
you're absolutely right. It is not fun, but for whatever reason, every other race of men have no problem with it. Every other race, every other culture of men don't have an issue with marrying. Their marriage rates are decent. Now they may be dwindling, but they are a decent amount. They
I
get
was gonna
that
say
concept. It's for the
white
kids.
men. We got to take white men out. White men are now struggling on that front as well. So
Right.
it's the traditional American cultures that are struggling with it now. But
Absolutely.
but naturally, I will say it's because uh the rate of. I mean, everything is traced back to fatherlessness in the black community. Who showed these men that was what they were supposed to want? And I agree with Harrison on this. We don't need to make it fun because we'll lose that argument. They are being sold and marketed the opposite as fun. And so the responsible thing to do is to get married. But what you need to do is have an upbringing that lets you know. So somebody said it, and I just thought about it. They said, how do we make marriage? Well, I'll put it this way. How do we make marriage look like the good decision? Go show the end result of somebody's opposite decision. Not to. That's basically what I was shown. Do you want to end up like such and such? And let me break that down for you how this goes. You see what I'm saying? This institution will yield you this. And every person that I could manifest myself, my dad didn't even have to tell me who to think of. I was like, well, they have this and that and this and that. Damn. You when you take a moment to look at it, married people always have more. They always have more. So it's like, wow, I live in the fastest growing suburb in Texas. All right. Beautiful homes, beautiful landscape, all of this. Ain't no single people out here. My children are gonna know nothing but people walking down the sidewalk with their kids in the strollers, and like, you see what I'm saying? It's a visual where you see, oh, the life of better living, and some of the complaints don't even come out of this institution. The people who do the duty, meaning it's going to suck for a little while. You're gonna go through ups, you're gonna go through downs, but it's like asking somebody, do you want to go through life alone, or do you want somebody to have your back?
Mhm.
Ask somebody at their lowest that one question.
Right.
Do you want somebody to always have your back? And the reason why I said women with should not be talking about the bag and not being married, do you know what is it? Most businesses, 90% of businesses are closed within 12 months of it opening. All of these female entrepreneurs they're talking about, I guarantee you, if you go look at a bunch of them, many of those women are in a long-term relationship or married, because you can build anything off the back of a man who's paying the bills. That's what my wife did. You can build anything. You can bring your business to scale, because if you take a salary from your business, that is how it will fail. I can tell you that firsthand. If you need the money you are making in your business to pay your bills, that's how businesses fail. But if a woman is like, "Well, I want to start a business," all right, do it, babe. I'm paying the bills anyway. We won't save as much for a year. Take every dollar you make, put it in that business, bring it to scale. A woman can build anything off the back of her man, but a single woman has to do it alone. Right? So that's why I don't understand why everybody's like, "Oh, I get the bag." Nah, you ain't gonna get the bag like my wife gonna get the bag. Stop the cap.
See, this is the thing like that I disagree with in saying that we shouldn't promote that marriage is fun. There is definitely a balance. Sometimes responsibility is not fun. So I understand that. We go to work every even if it's a job that you love, at times that going getting up, doing what you need to do for that job is not fun. So that part I understand. I think what happens a lot of times, though, especially in these spaces, is that we push so much of the negative aspects of marriage. And I think that's why there needs to be a counterbalance to that to say, yes, there's a lot of responsibility. You're expected to be the leader. You have to take care of your family, vice versa. Women, you have to take care of your husband. Your husband's going to come first. You got to take care of the kids. It's a lot of juggling. Yes, everybody hears that part. And of course, it does not sound fun. It doesn't sound sexy, but you miss the other aspects of marriage when you're only focusing on that one thing. I love spending time with my husband. We love spending time with each other. And it doesn't mean that we're always traveling. We love when we travel together. We have such a great time. But even just being in the house with each other, watching like we're watching what's that something V it's a superhero thing. He's into, all of that
The
kind of stuff.
boys. The boys.
Yeah, the
Oh,
boy.
MV? You're
Exactly.
watching
Yeah.
the new one? That shit is
Yes.
disgusting.
Yes. And so he'll be like, yo, don't watch that next episode. We got to watch it together. So
Yeah.
it's like we enjoy spending time with each other, just bugging out. Sometimes he'll just be playing music because he's grilling or something. He'll be like, yo, come here. Our song is on. And we'll just start dancing. Like, it's fun being married. And I don't understand what's wrong with pushing that forward because
So we can't disagree with you. We
mhm,
can't. What we're saying is we have been on YouTube long enough that if you tell somebody what's fun for you, they will give you something funner or gaslight you and tell you why it's not so fun for them or what happened in their last relationship and this dude did this. We know as people, in fact, if relationships are fun, why the hell can't marriage be fun? People already understand this. What it is, I told you is it's a bit of fear of not being what happens when it stops being fun.
mhm,
That's where most people quit. We know that. It's
mhm.
not serving me anymore. So this is why we want to not only play up the duty aspect, but I would rather tell people you need to mature and find other ways to seek fulfillment. I know
Facts.
I I could be having a horrible freaking day. Coming in the house and just watching my kids do that exuberant jump and sometimes I just put my hand on my head like, God damn, these some happy ass kids. And I provided that. I provided that for them. My day sucked, but I got some happy ass kids, and I provided this for them. Right? You have to learn to seek fulfillment in such things because the more we talk in this way, people will realize how opposite their circumstances are. So it's funny how people talk about traveling on their own and having sex with who they want, but always talking about their badass kids too, right? They always talk about I got to do all this shit by myself. Oh, you see, like you usually like, oh, that's the opposite of what's going on in my house. We help each other around here. We got each other's back around here. I got help from the family because they love being around. My wife's side love being around me, right? So it's like there's a lot of support in this institution because that's what it brings. Not only just from the family, you create an extended family of married people. Married people love married people. They always want to join families and you guys want to get together and you will find all the support you are lacking, right? Because I hate to break it to the single women that are listening. Married women hate y'all coming around. They don't want a bunch of single bitches around their husband. I'm sorry to tell you.
Mhm.
So it's a club that you have to get into to experience.
Now, somebody made a comment. Professor, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna post this real quick, where he says that it's fun being married to the right person, the right person, the right person, the right person. I agree, but I think the other aspect to that is sometimes you have to create that too, because even having the right person in a marriage, sometimes at moments it don't feel like it's the right person when you're going through certain things. You know what I'm saying? So it's a forever constant pouring into creating a marriage that's going to work. So if you have a good foundation, when those times do come, you can and actually I must say for my husband, he has been more of the grounding when it comes to when we are going through our ebbs and flow. And I remember one day he told me, because I'm like, how come this isn't bothering? How, I guess as women, our emotions are like, everything feels like on 10. But one of the things that he told me, he was like, yeah, I know stuff ain't good right now. But he said, I'm also aware that it's not going to stay like this. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, this is just one of those lows. And that's how he operates, which I guess in essence kind of, impacts me as well. So because he has that mindset, that kind of, rolled on to me now, having that mindset as well to be like, all right, this is just a moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he said, when I look at the totality of our relationship in general, when I weigh the bad times against the good times, I can honestly say that I've had more of the good than the bad. And I think what happens a lot of times is that when we're going through the bad, we only focus on that 20%, and it seems like it's the 80 and it really isn't. So I think that's really the issue, is that a lot of times when we're going through certain things, we focus only on the negative and not realize that we have all of this other stuff that is really good.
What's up, AP? Why you late, man? Did you go put that goatee to use at the bar?
No, actually, no. I got some real good news. So after the high school football game, y'all know I coach high school football. After
Yep.
the game, met with some other coaches, and hopefully a big opportunity comes up here next summer. So we'll
You
see
gonna
how
be
it
coaching for
goes.
Dion or something, man? What? Tell us, shit.
Shit, no shit. Hey, that would be dope, but no, no. It's about coaching a traveling youth team, and they're
Um,
trying to do something real big here.
and
And
Hey, forget that. You know
it's,
that's how the
it's
bigger ones come too. Congrats, man.
I appreciate it. So we'll
That's
see
gonna
how
give
it
you
goes.
more visibility.
Yes, quite a bit more.
Yeah.
But that's bad. That could be bad and good, right?
I was gonna say, yeah. Team got to get good, but coaching gonna be good, man. You be straight. Congrats.
So
Congratulations.
Go out there and be
appreciate it.
great, sir.
Appreciate it. We'll see what happens.
Oh, let me just say this whole thing, because God dang, so sometimes our women don't understand us, man. When I tell you black men are killing this coaching game, they are killing it. Like yo, we like you have to look at it. My homeboy, unfortunately, his wife left him after using his GI Bill to become a nurse practitioner, but his dream was to be a college coach. He got a master's in sports management. I think one of whatever coaches get their
It
education
it
in.
varies.
Yeah, but yeah, in sports management. And within 1 year after that divorce, after she left him, he got a job as assistant coach at a community college at a JUCO school.
Oh, that's dope.
And
That's dope.
now wait, hold on. He just called me last week. Now he's the head coach. Now he's
nice.
the so yeah, I'm like, damn. And look, all of the stuff, all the salary, great, you know what I mean? Visibility opportunities. They get to practice with the universe. I was like, damn, black men are killing this coaching thing,
That's a
man.
fact.
You know how much money there is in that? Shit.
Yeah, that was part of the discussion tonight. I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
And look, hold on. All the, I don't know how. It's football, you said.
Hmm.
All of this Dion stuff is gonna trickle down somehow, some way. It's like if this much visibility is coming to college football, then high school football, like all of the recruit and all of that stuff's gonna skyrocket too, man. It's an
Man,
exciting
let,
time.
let me tell you, that's a very unique club to try to break into. Like, there's actually a lot of black high school coaches.
Mhm.
And honestly, we haven't heard of most of them. And most of them are super dope.
Yeah.
Super dope. All waiting on that opportunity, that call. And hopefully, we'll see how this goes. And I'll know more come May 2024.
Nice. Nice, bro. Congrats.
You posted that, Shan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead. Leave that. It says, do women, okay, this is Big Ant, $10. Do women really dream of being married, or are you just really dreaming of the attention that you get on the wedding day?
I think that people want to be married to the man they want to be married to. Like nobody.
Oh, I
Right.
Shan,
I
I
think
think.
that has so much validity,
I think
Shan.
that listen. I do think that there's a group of women who want to be married so much they just choose anybody, and usually those women who just can't get the man that they really want, so they just get the man who's available to them, really. And that's when you see a person who wants the wedding in opposed to the man. You
Mm.
know, but when a woman loves a man, and you'll know if she in love with you.
Yeah, but Shan, because I felt that when he said it. Pause, but
I
that
don't.
was real.
And let me just clarify real fast. When I say the wedding, I mean everything that the wedding is about, meaning the
Yeah,
family. She really wants a family. She really
yeah.
wants,
But
the kids.
even that, I think what he's saying has so much meaning because what I think a lot of women are suffering from is they put so much of their intention and their desire into the aesthetic that a
Mhm.
certain man can give them. I want to be with this man, insert superficial reason. And they want to have his kids for that same reason. Oh, he's 6'2", he chocolate,
He's
it's
got
not about,
money.
but this is what I find interesting. I only know women who talk about the type of husband they want. I have rarely heard a modern woman talk about the type of wife she wants to be. I have never heard, like, I've rarely heard women say, I want to serve this man in this way. I cannot wait to serve this nigga his meals at the table. I don't hear that shit. Like, you see what I'm saying? So that's marriage, y'all. That's marriage. I
I
can't
think
wait to
marriage is
my
serving
wife,
each other.
my wife said this shit. I mean, look, my meat was hard when you said it. I'm sorry, when we were still dating. Ooh, I can't wait. I forgot what she said. She's like, when I get this, ooh, our family. And look, she said it. She just in like a fit of excitement because we were still dating. She's like, oh, and if I get this, our family is gonna be so. And I was like, oh shit! Like that's the way women are supposed to talk. She was excited to bring value to me in some way. I don't hear women doing that
I
these days.
think with that question, I think women do both at the same time. I think they do fantasize about getting married and they fantasize about the wedding as well. But I think that's the problem is that is a lot of it is fantastical instead of the reality aspect of it. Like I remember we joked on here about having post-marital clarity is that that kicks in. So when you don't know what it is like to be married until you're married. So the only thing that you can do is imagine and dream about it, fantasize what it's going to look like, what you want your marriage to be like, what your kids are going to be like, what kind of parent you're going to be. All of those things are fantasies until it actually happened. And so that's why I say I think as women they do both. They fantasize about the kind of husband they want. They fantasize about the kind of wedding they want. They fantasize about the kind of kids they want, the family. They fantasize about all of that. But again, the fantasy, you're always going to make it better than what it actually is. That's why it's a fantasy. And that postmarital clarity is not a joke, because you're lining up your marriage with everything that you fantasize about and realize that your marriage looked nothing like what you was fantasizing about.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Mm.
Who do you think is more idealistic, and who do you think is more practical between men and women?
I
What
would
do you
say
mean?
overall men, but
Which one?
I also think it's situational depending on what it is.
Which one? Practical or
I would say
idealistic?
men are more practical.
Hmm.
Okay. So what say the rest of you? Because it's important to make that distinction for what I'm about to say.
Well, just by nature, men are more practical, and not even by just by nature, by circumstance. Men have to be more practical because we don't have the luxury of being 350 pounds. Talk about I'm a dime out here in these streets. The girls will clown the shit out of us, right? We actually get what we qualify for unless we have an exorbitant amount of resources or fame. We get exactly what we qualify for. So yeah, we're practical by nature and by circumstance.
But so I have a question. What's the problem with a woman saying that she's a dime when at the end of the day, if she's a dime, if she's a good girl, if she's this or that, it still ain't gonna lead to marriage?
Well, so the bad part is that not only other women, so it's weird the thing women do to each other, where it's like some people will enable it, they will enable that delusion, but then women find ways to try to feel like that dime. So we were just talking about yesterday how a woman will get in front of, she's bold enough now to get in front of a man. I think I told y'all this story. I was hollering at a dime at one of my parties. That's something I did. I would throw the party, go mingle with the girls that I wanted because I'd let them in for free. And I'd have to let the ugly ass friends in for free too when I was in college. So then I'm like, all right, bet. Let me go see if Ashley wants a drink. Let me push up on her, dance with her, whatever, whoop de whoop. I was trying to get at this girl. And just so y'all know, I was the big dude on campus when I was in college, right? Had a lot of money, I had a lot of cars, all that type of stuff. Um, so that's the way girls viewed me, like, ooh, like he got money, like that type of stuff. So any girl I wanted, I could get. Certain girl I was focused on, she came with her like her fat friend. I'm just gonna say it. She came with like her big friend, not that bad looking, but big friend. As I'm trying to spit in this girl's ear, like, yo, Ashley, was good? You coming back to the crib? And she looking at me like, boy, take my number so we can go out tomorrow. Woo woo. I'm spitting game all night. She not having it. She like, we going out tomorrow. I'm not coming back to your room. Her big friend waits for her to kind of leave and go off into the ether, grabs the back of my arm like this, and I'm like, excuse me, what do you want? If she's not down, I am. Right? Okay, so now that freeze that. That is what women that aren't dimes are doing to men that most women want. And those dudes, unfortunately, are busting those women down. So now, because she is involved with him, even if it's just sexually, she gets validated that she's a dime too. For some reason,
I
that's
think
how
you're
some women
missing.
do
You missed my whole question.
it.
What's
Restate.
the issue is, let's just say good girls. Are all good girls getting nowadays, are good girls getting married? Are they being
You know what? Yes, yes,
Yes.
are, uh,
yes.
so there are no
I know very few wifey material types that all men claim is wifey material that aren't married. Very few.
Yeah, and there's a difference between what you think is a good woman and what a guy thinks is a good woman. That's two
so
different things.
I'm going off what you think is a good woman. Those
Yeah,
women.
most of them are married. Yes.
Oh yeah, they off the shelves
Because
instantly.
think about it, the ones who are looking, they got to. So what really happens is some of these women are so rare and so scarce that multiple men that are trying to get her at the same time. Hey dog, chill, man. Look, man, I'm that's my joint. She ain't got no dude, nah, bro. Like they're literally fighting over her because maybe from a long time they've known she don't even have a
Yeah,
reputation out here in these streets. She's kept her business to herself. Don't nobody know nobody she messed with yet. She's highly sought after. So
I
yeah.
don't actually agree necessarily with you on this, Trigger Mike, um, because most of those girls aren't just giving it out. If they're not just giving it out, we hear so often, if a girl don't give it to me, then I'm gonna kind of push her to the side.
Well,
I'll keep driving to try to get it. And once I do, like she became more like a test than someone you're looking to spend your entire life with.
But
So
marriageable dudes.
I don't think that that's completely accurate.
Well, I'm saying marriageable dudes, the dudes that want to toss that woman to the side, marriageable dudes seek that woman
That,
out.
right. I think that, okay, so I see what you're saying, Mike, but sometimes she doesn't come across the marriageable dude. She doesn't know the difference. So what's happening is, because there's only a few men who are marriageable, just like there's only a few women who are marriageable, right? And somehow
Agreed.
that sometimes they miss each other. Okay.
hmm
So what I'm saying to you is, just because she's a good woman does not mean that she is going to be married, because she could just be getting the wrong type of guys to come towards her. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that's also pretty rare. That's why I'm like, most of the women that I know that are
Do that,
intentional about
you don't, okay,
no,
let's
no,
step
not I'm
outside
not
of
talking
your
about that. I'm talking about the general consensus of what we know to be good girls. The ones that are intentional about being married, especially if it's before a certain age, most of them are married. Check your Instagram, somebody getting married. Black people getting married every week in droves, right? But it's always like, damn, I knew she'd be off the market. Shorty was solid. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, those women are married. It's the ones that have an opinion, a contrary opinion about anything, or my education comes first. I'm a bad bitch out here, lawyers all day. I travel I need to go to Dubai and teach for 2 years. All of them are not married. The ones.
So let me ask you a question. So is it safe to say that men who are not married of age are not marriageable?
I'm sorry, say it again. Men that aren't
Is
married
it
by a
safe
certain
to
age,
say that
most,
men?
most of them, most. So men can honestly prolong. I think it's a problem. What is it called when a problem is like in and of itself the solution or something like that? But if there are so many women who are supposed to be marriageable, here's the interesting part: most educated women are supposed to be marriageable. You see what I'm saying? It's like if you got an education and can bring value to your family, and you're principled and have morals, you're supposed to be marriage material. But it's the competitive spirit that has men like, no, I don't. There's something about me. Have you not noticed that the singular complaint that women have? Why won't he marry me? What is his problem? I don't think a lot of men are being honest because they don't want to hurt women's feelings. But sometimes you go through the relationship believing that you will marry her, and she talked you out of it. You just don't know how to break it up, right? In college, we were talking about this. Then all of a sudden, she started competing with me. In year 3, she started talking about we gonna move closer to her job, and she just like fuck my job, like you know what I'm saying. So men just hold off now. Good men will hold off, but I do believe most men of that are past a certain age, they are not marriageable. Like look at those shows like Ready to Love. I hate those shows because of what it really shows. That all the marriageable men, first of all, a marriageable man won't go on that goddamn show. Only the divorced
Agreed.
ones. Only the
Agreed.
divorced ones seem to even be mature enough to handle a relationship. The ones that were already in a relationship.
I agree.
So and so it looks like all the women are squared away and career women. They got attitude problems, so they'll come out in the later episode. But in the beginning, it looks like all of them are squared away, and the men are the ones who are just some shit. That's because all these dudes are like, they'll be like 35, 36. I'll be like, oh God, you ain't never been married and you 35. They just put all the shit on that show. I would
I
never go
agree.
on one of them
I just
goddamn
want to
shows.
see your point. I agree with that. I can't disagree with that.
Well, even more to argue kind of against your point, Trigger Mike. Though when you were talking about most of the good women are married, I the reason I kind of disagree with that is, of course, this is age dependent. So if we're talking 27, 28, 29 in that range, they're competing against women who are just throwing that box around. Like, and when, from what I've been hearing on these panels anyway, when a good woman notices, and I'm constantly putting quotes around good woman. When a good woman notices that this guy is busting down these random chicks, she'll cross him off her list as a potential. And so they're constantly seeing these guys knock off these random women, and they move on. these guys aren't crossing paths with some of these good women. I mean, I just
Because
I
some
just
good women stay
completely dis
home. They're not in the streets.
I just kind of like I see your point and I actually understand your point, but I truly disagree with it because it's with this constant hot girl summer and this freedom of sexuality that's been happening over the last 25 years. It's hard for a good girl to even compete with those women, and thus they're going home every night. They don't want to be out with those people. They don't
Mhm.
want to be out with that crowd of people. They prefer their own company as opposed to having to fight a man that she's not going to sleep with.
Is oh oh HD salute
I was just gonna
$5. Um, it was something that y'all had said before. It was the thing that Shan had pulled up about are women just dreaming about the wedding and not necessarily the marriage or whatever. And I'm just thinking in my age group is that I don't necessarily think that I think marriage was an expectation back in my age group. Just kind of like now you go to you go to school, you graduate high school, you go to college. After you go to college, you go to work, right? I think in my age generation, is that was the next thing. So even though they fantasized in terms of like, oh, I want my wedding to look like this or whatever, if they plan, I was just never that chick. But but in girls in general, I just think that the culture at that time, I think we were getting to the beginning of the end of that culture of knowing that you're just supposed to go ahead and get married, right? So that was the next logical step. You go to college. After you go to college, you meet your spouse or whatever, whether it's in college or whatever, but then you're married. I look at all of my friends that I had, even starting from middle school, they all are married or have been married and divorced or what have you. And so I think now that the expectation, the culture of expectation around marriage has changed dramatically. And I think that's why you're not seeing marriage rates at the level that they could be or should be or how we would want it to be, because we know how it impacts the community. But so I think that's part of it. So even though you have the fantasy aspect of it, I also think that it was a cultural norm that this is what's supposed to happen next. Even despite the fact that it was single family homes and stuff like single led family homes, even though that was within our generation as well, I still think in terms of society wise, the culture that this is what is supposed to happen next.
You
And
know,
that shifted.
what's so funny? Oh, go ahead. I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, because I was about to say something.
Um, the crazy thing, I agree with everything that you said. I think all of what you said, and then social media came in the picture and just threw a curveball.
Yeah, that
And
too.
so now you got access to all these people. You have online dating. Everybody's got options. Like, oh my god! And what happens when people have too many options? You can't just choose one. You feel like, oh, but what if another one comes up? And then you see another, like, oh, it's always the grass is greener on the other side. And so I think that I agree with everything that you said, but I want to add social media to it.
Which goes back to what I was saying about good girls being unmarried. I think we need to figure out a way to reset the expectation back to what it was. I think that getting back to marriage being the norm and actually being a goal, I think is it has been lost. I think we need to truly figure out a way to reset back to that standard. But as long as we have boss chicks and MGTOW and I'm saying both the on the men's side and the women's side, as long as we have these two factions that are constantly bumping heads
Mhm.
and the people in the middle are the ones that are caught in this crossfire and you consume so much of the information, either one side or the other, you start to believe that what that side is saying is actually the way it is. And I, I genuinely, obviously, I genuinely don't agree with that. And some of the conversations that led up to September 27th, yeah, I'm gonna keep pointing that out. I'm feeling pretty dope about that. This is my left hand, by the way. Some of the conversations that led up to that was, this is what I want to do. Are you okay with it? And she'd come back, yes, that's I am great with it, but this is also what I want to do. Will we be able to do that if we go this direction? There were so many conversations that took place prior to September 27th.
Congrats.
Appreciate it. Um, to make sure that we both were doing this for the right reasons and the reasons that we wanted. Also, like meeting her family and oh man, that's a whole different story. I wanted to start on the stream because I wanted to give the entire breakdown because I wanted to really talk about men vetting women. Um, but if you do it right, it can be such an awesome experience. But we need to reset that expectation. Just my opinion.
And again, I don't disagree with anything anybody's saying. I've read the chat and everything, but again, nobody's thinking about kids because nowhere up in this is they're saying we're going to stop being irresponsible and having kids. And it's, at that point, if you had a kid with a bad bitch, guess what? It's time to marry the bad bitch so you can have some great kids. Okay? Because at the end of the day, that's who you decide to sleep with. And now you have children, and now it's time to man up and do what's best for your kids. It has nothing to do with you anymore. When you have kids, it's the most selfless thing you can ever do.
It's also time to woman up too. Now it's not just man up, but you also got a woman up too.
Absolutely right. So I do agree, but I'm gonna say this: if a woman don't want you, she not having your kids. Let's just be honest, okay? Most of the time, no woman having your kids because she wants you. Something went down in the process. That's why she mad and she took the kids away from you because she couldn't have you. You understand? That's just how women work, okay? So
I have to agree to that. I don't know any woman who had a kid by a man that she didn't want
to be with. So at some point, the relationship went sideways because you left the relationship. The man left the relationship, whether he cheated on her, he didn't want her no more, blah, 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 blah. Because no woman, because she has the choice to get an abortion or whatever else, is having a kid by a man that she does not want to have a kid by. That is safe to say. Unless she's that small percent that does not believe in abortion, because I'm kind of one of them. But it's a very small percent. Okay, so to be for real, she's doing that. Okay, now she's probably pissed at you because it didn't work out the way she wanted it to work out. Meaning you didn't marry her and you didn't make a woman out of her. Absolutely, and it all goes down the drain from there. Okay, but for the most part, most women don't just have children by men they don't have kids for. That's first and foremost. Second, at this point, since you've decided to do what you did, both of y'all, both the woman and the man, because it could be things about she could have been a runaway. Like, I don't even like him no more. He ain't a great daddy. I'm also talking to that chick. Y'all made a kid together. It's time to put yourselves to the side and do what's best for your children. Because research has shown that the kids do better with both parents in the household, in opposed to with just one parent. That's research. Even if you're co-parenting and you're like, but I'm involved in my kid's life, that ain't getting us nowhere. It still suggests that if both parents are in the household together, the kid is raised differently than being separate.
So let's just say I take your argument at face value and that women don't have kids by men that they don't want. unless we're talking people like gold diggers, and that's not this is not their part of the conversation.
Okay, you gotta have
That
gold to get a gold digger.
I
So
was
with that
thinking
being
the same
said,
thing.
most men ain't got gold. Okay, we ain't we're the lowest of the. If you look at the stats, we make the lowest out of all races. So let's take gold digger out. Unless you're talking about a ball player, like the exceptional few. That's not the
as
situation. And then
as I
most men who are successful are married. So that's
as
not their case. It's the brokies that be having the problems. Let's go
as
ahead with
I as I stated, this is not they part of the show yet.
that.
I was saying you could take. We're gonna take. I'm taking them out of
Mhm.
this part of the conversation. Oftentimes, I believe, and you guys know I hate pointing the finger at women, but if a man wants to lead his family, because once
Mhm.
you have a kid, in my opinion, like you need to be a family.
Oh, for sure.
Once a man starts to lead his family, if the female doesn't follow, which happens far too often, she doesn't follow, then is it really the man that left? Even though the woman had a kid by the man that she wants, she obviously didn't want him enough to follow his lead. And that happens if I'm gonna really set an argument, I'd say it's about 50-50. I don't think that a majority of the men that are not in the homes with their kids are not in the homes with their kids because they don't want to be. So like I'm trying to give grace because I actually think the number is wider on one side. I'm trying to give grace and call it a 50-50 situation where 50% of the men don't want to be there and 50% of the women don't want to follow this man's lead. Like
I
I
would.
think that like we need to stop having, in my opinion, this is where it all stems from. We need to stop having frivolous sex.
That's true.
Like like
I
I just
don't
think that
disagree.
like if we stop doing that and we start being more deliberate and intentional with what we do, how we move, and our body parts, a lot of these problems will correct themselves. But unfortunately, women for so long, in my opinion, have been sexually suppressed to where if you give up your box and you're just a whore. And now we're in this liberation phase to where they're now freely able to do whatever they want in regards to their body. And you, as a man, we can't say shit because her body, her choice, and a woman has the right to choose. We need to get back to shaming too. But we need to quit. We need to scale all of this back. And men need the discipline to stop always saying yes. Shit, it's okay to say no. If you're
It's
gonna
okay to
say
say no.
if you're gonna get married, the one thing I've learned is the the passes don't stop once you're married. As a matter of fact, it's got a little more obvious here, and it ain't even been that long. But you still gotta like. I can't just go out and say, "Oh, okay, shit." I mean, shit, she'll never find out. No, I have to have that discipline to say, I appreciate it. No, thank you. And we need to do that even when we're not married until we are ready to be with that one. Like shit is so fucked up now. Pardon my language, y'all, but things are so messed up. Our culture, our society is so messed up right now that we don't know down from up from down, good from bad, bad from good. It's awful. And I'm just
I
gonna land
agree.
there because I could actually talk all night on this because I've
I'm
just
gonna get a
seen.
shirt. It's gonna say "Close your legs." Close,
Close your damn leg.
close your legs.
I have a statement plus a question. It kind of goes together because I keep seeing, especially from the men, but I do want y'all opinion on this too. So we said in most Black households, they're single led households, typically by the mom, right?
Yep.
We also can agree that in a single led household, neither the son or daughter have a good example of what a marriage would look like. So the woman is the young lady that's grown up in a single led is not seeing what it is to be a wife, just as well as the son is not seeing what it is to be a husband, right?
Yep.
So, all things being equal in that regard, about neither one is having the example. But a lot of times in these spaces, I keep seeing men saying women are not wifey material,
Mm-hmm.
right? How how can they explain that if they are husband material or not? Because I think both of those things are going on at the same time. I
Right.
think you have women that are not wifey material, but the men are not husband material either.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of the disconnect comes from, is that a lot of the men, and I'm gonna say in these spaces, because I don't know, the men that I'm around, they're married. You know what I'm saying? They're doing their thing. But the ones that are professing or talking against marriage and saying why they wouldn't get married is because it ain't no wifey material here. I also think on the opposite side is that they're lacking husband, being a husband
Yeah.
material as well. What say
So
you?
so you're right in the sense that we also have to stop saying a lot of men aren't husband material, but I think you've heard me say this. One of the things that I've tried to put out here is that the situation is a little more dire for women. That's why you hear me talk with such passion about why women need to get their stuff together or why moms need to stop failing their daughters, because women don't make the choice. Men still have one key power, is like the only one we're still holding on to, which is we choose who gets married or not. And what we can see is that even a lot of those men, especially in the black community, did not have an example. But you remember when I said being a good husband is a lot like being a good man?
Mhm.
I think a man's path to husband is easier than a woman's path to wife. If you aren't teaching certain
Mm.
skills from youth to a woman, she will struggle in the role as a wife. Not even just because the part that we never want to talk about is forget the wife part in general. Because I tell all the people that listen to me, you're not choosing her for just you. You're choosing her for your children too. This is why these women are struggling as mothers, is because they've never fully understood in totality the experience and the of what they would have to do to be a wife and mother, right? So they're struggling on that part. And men can easily, find mentorship, but for some reason, I'm telling you, as what I would describe as a good man and a good husband, those things are a lot alike. And I've always known women would struggle if they didn't have the proper guidance. But a lot of these men are cap. No, a lot of these dudes are just saying that in an effort to say, a lot of these girls aren't living girlfriends that I could use until I have no more need for. So a lot of them aren't really talking about wife. But when I say it, I definitely mean wife. For a man who's like, I'm putting childish things away, I want to build with a companion and have. I want that woman to have children in my likeness and be very adamant about not breaking up. And like, some dudes you will see, because naturally I think men are more like that because you have more black men that are married than black women, but we also do the choosing. That's why I said it's kind of more in the man's field to say when he's ready, he can make the adjustments. Now, men also gravitate to things where they will always meet their ideal man. It's like if you go be a welder, you're going to meet the top engineer, and you're going to look at the way this man organizes his life. Men always kind of end up at the boss in the video game, and they kind of look like at some point, I want to be like this dude. Like we create factions where in clubs where you can't get in the club unless you got your life organized like
Mhm.
it. So men have a little bit more incentive at times to be like, I think I want to be a husband now. Look at how clean this dude is. Look at the way he carry himself. Damn, I got a peek of his family at the Christmas party. This dude he just winning. This look like he know how to do this. So men always seem to gravitate toward somebody who it will show them that example, where it seems like most women are running away, right? Because the more you live a free lifestyle, the more unlike you are most wives. So it's a weird polarity thing going on between men and women. But
Well, see, this is the thing.
I
Like,
agree with a lot of that.
yeah, I think the problem. Well, one of the things that I'm hearing you say, which I guess is just my belief, is that the transferable skills. I think a lot of times, like kind of what you were saying, is that just in the way men are, how they move, it sets them up to be a husband more so than a woman. In a way that she moves sets her up to be a wife. I think the thing is that for both, that what you do as an individual may not necessarily be transferable skills in a marriage. Like, you can be the bomb at your job, have great leadership at your job, or do X, Y, and Z at your job, but those skills doesn't necessarily transfer over to say you're going to be a great husband in leading your family, because the expectations and the needs are different. Same thing with a woman. Like, she may be able to cook, clean for herself, but the transferable skills may be different, and it may not transfer over to her being a great wife, because she doesn't, like, say, well, you can cook yourself, you know how to cook, you know what I'm saying? Or, clean, you need to clean up. Like, I'm not cleaning this whole. So even though you have the ability, it doesn't necessarily mean that those skills are going to transfer over the way that you would think they would in a marriage. And I think the reason because of that is the individuality aspect that men and women tend to hold on to.
oh yeah,
in getting into a marriage. Like, a man comes in wanting to be taken care of, and a woman comes in wanting to be taken care of, and they're looking for specific ways in which that person, they're looking for specific ways from that person to take care of them. And then when it's not met, then it's like, oh, I made the wrong decision. But it's about adjustment.
So on the whole, um, Trigger Mike, just a quick question: would you say men are typically more self-aware than women?
self-aware, yes,
Yes.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, with that
We
in
don't go
mind,
around calling ourselves tens. No, we don't.
so with that in mind, Ms. Taken, the one thing that men that possess a lot of those leadership qualities do, they will go seek out the information that they're lacking. So, for example, it doesn't necessarily translate that you're a good leader at work and at home. Well, you know what that person is willing to do as a man? In most cases, they'll go seek out who they think might be a good husband. And they were typically willing to say, hey, how did you get to where you are? And I'm going to use me as an example, right? So for me, I had an example of what a hardworking man was, because my dad was a hardworking man, but he was a terrible husband and I'd say father in many cases. So I didn't really have that example. So when I was introduced to these YouTube spaces, I actually listened to Anton a lot when he would talk about he and Rita. And I took a lot of that information in and I said, okay, so this is what I'm missing. This is what I need to improve on. That there is a really good point. I'm going to try to exercise more of that. And then I actually listened a little bit to Trigger Mike, but at the time he would talk guns a little bit more. Um, but listening to these men in these spaces that are married and what I would consider are in a successful marriage, what can I pull from them and apply it to me so that I can be that successful in my marriage? And I don't think
Oh,
women have, like, and this is not to make a jab at anybody, but I don't think women will self-reflect that way. or in most cases is what I'll say.
Um,
So
oh,
I agree with you, but we will go out. We're not above going out and finding those examples and applying those examples and see if they work for us.
Or also AP.
look, I wanted to say
uh,
something real fast and I'll let you go. Okay, Mike. I agree. I can see that. I agree with the things that you're saying, AP. But I will also have to say then my question would be then why aren't these men married? Like you've been married before, right, AP?
Correct.
Yes. So you've been married. So you've shown that you are, you don't mind being married. Mike is married. So, when we know that men, there are far more women than there are men. Black men especially have options that are outside of black women. I know y'all say, well, we want black women, but your want should never go past your purpose, which is to reproduce and to have your own family. A want is just a want. You can't find it. You go, because you guys claim you have all these options, right? So at that point, the only thing that is stopping you is you. I find that the men who are marriageable are men who have once been married or are currently married, unless they're just still young. That's just what I find. Most of the men out here who have not been married, they've gotten this far as either they're not marriageable, nobody wants to marry, then they don't have options, or they're not husband material. They probably not taking the same advice you're taking, AP. You get on here and you want to learn, you want to do better. Some people just want to get on here to gripe.
yeah, and
That's a fact.
That's
one of
true.
the reasons why it's going to be very diluted is because men have no incentive. And I really don't understand when women are like, "Well, y'all need to talk to men to talk to men." This game works a lot differently. Remember, I told you people don't change or make any type of concession until they have no choice. All right. The way the game works is this: we have never really had we've never had discipline, especially when it pertains to our biological urges. It's very hard to be disciplined for in a man. As a man, it's
I
very hard to
agree.
be disciplined sexually. It's extremely hard. It's biological urge. Unless you're going to fight it with medication, how are you going to take those urges away, right? But what we used to have is lack of access. Because what it was is that you would meet a girl like, God damn, she fine, boy. What do I got to do to get her? Well, you got to meet my dad, and then you can come over while they're home, and we can talk and do family game. And then you had dudes sitting in like you don't remember that? That was still going on in the 90s. Dudes sitting in, my big cousin had like dudes sitting in the living room. My dad would come talk to him, her dad would come talk to him. That shit don't happen no more. But it's like, what does this dude want? And then look, I'm 14 years old, like, oh, I'm at their wedding, like, damn, this is why they were doing all that shit. Okay, they would not let him have access to her intimately, like in any intimate type of space, until they were declared an item by the family. Right now, he has to come do things with the family. Right, so we don't. If men have no incentive, if everything they're supposed to get from commitment in a marriage or that type of situation is given to them freely in the sexual marketplace, men have no incentive. In fact, it distracts them from their actual
Absolutely.
purpose, which is to get married and be loyal to a woman and committed and all of that. So that's what
I
I'm saying. If every woman only gave ass and only gave the best parts of themselves to upstanding men who can commit, facilitate a dream, what would all men want to be?
Absolutely. I listen. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So we had a super chat, and I just wanted to clear. So I don't know how many more men are married now, but I do know that more Black women have been married, whether they're still married today or not. There are more Black women who have been married
Mhm,
than Black men. There are probably more Black men in marriages currently in marriages now,
mhm.
but overall, whether they're widowed or divorced, there have been more Black women who have married than Black men.
That's a good thing. That means they were marriageable.
So, and thank you for the super chat though.
In fact, interesting quote, or not a quote, a statistic. Throughout history, they can account that almost 40% of the male population has never procreated, which basically tells you that look, hypergamy is real. And also some men, and remember the way women are supposed to use hypergamy is to weed out the undesirables, to say you can't facilitate a dream, you won't you won't take care of your offspring, you don't work, you sleep all day. Like, you see what I'm saying? That stuff used to be extremely attractive to women, but all of a sudden, women are literally going to that dude who's supposed to be at work to go top them all. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't understand either, Mike. I don't get it whatsoever. I don't get it.
Well, you know what I don't get? This just popped into my head is if we're saying that men are supposed to be the leaders, then how are women dictating how men are moving? And what I mean by that is if we're saying that we know marriage just in terms of the outcome and the benefits of marriage, how it benefits men.
Yeah.
Well, not just men, but women as well in a healthy marriage, is that we're saying like it sounds like men are saying, well, there is no benefit to me in marriage, so I'm not going to get married, or women aren't wifey material, so I'm not going to get married, or if I have access, then why get married? Like, it sounds like a lot of the moves that they're making is in relation to somebody else, as opposed to creating that environment for themselves. Like when AP was ready to get married, he said, I watched Anton Daniels, I listened to Trigger Mike. I took the necessary steps to make adjustments for me to set myself up to find the right person to get married to, and then look what happens. He had the desired outcome that he was intentional about. So I don't understand why that is not the mindset of men in general.
Well, first, let's go back to the original point that all men aren't marriage material.
I agree.
And
all women aren't either.
Remember, it also goes back to, I think your original statement was a good one. It seems like women are dictating what's going on, but we have to put this in context. There is no basically, you get a society grade. There is no functional society without. Tell me how functional your society is. I will show you how moral the women are. It's like there's a certain saying like that. The morality of the women is what dictates like the overall outlook of the society. This is why you see the Muslim cultures and all of those cultures in Iran, they're extremely protective over their women, because remember, you cannot outsmart nature. A man's nature. Remember, we created civilization. We were not civilized people. We were all eating each other before somebody inserted civilization into it. So basically,
some of us still are.
Exactly. What you ill disgusting. All right. What you see now though is women dropping their drawers, shaking their ass in the middle of the street, bending over, saying, "Come get it." But the world is looking at the man like, "You better be disciplined. You better not go over there and hit that shit." It's biology. If I resist, another man behind me is gonna be like, "You tripping? I'm about to go hit that shit." You see what I'm saying? So we have to put we have to eradicate like that type of behavior and instill the morality in women because of the nature of men and women. It's
you know what it's like?
Yeah,
we like the stray dogs. Everybody else got like owners.
Hold on. You do
and so they dogs, but they got like big bougie dogs. Like
exactly. Not only is it a man's nature to go in there and try to hump on her, it's her nature to shake her ass to try to make him look. So we got to understand that we inserted civilization. We created this. So, like, think about it this way. Somebody got tired of taking care of all his daughter's kids. Like, how many niggas you gonna let hit you pregnant again? Like, you see what I'm saying? So that's why men created monogamy. Men don't even like monogamy, but we created it so that man can take care of his own goddamn kid that he made with my daughter. You see what I'm saying? Because I ain't taking care of it. That's too many damn mouths to feed. We created that. So the morality of women has always dictated how society moves. That's a historical fact. That's why we restrict access to women when it looks like we're restricting freedom. No, I have to restrict your access. You will go out there, especially in competition with another woman. You will drop your drawers and shake your ass for him, so he will look at you instead of her. We understand nature. That's natural for women to do.
So
You
is
know
it
what? So
safe
let
to
me.
say, hold on, just correct me if I'm wrong or explain it in a different way. So you're saying that the morality is based on women, right?
Hmm.
So then my question is the results of what we see today, is it because of it was something that you said about men, that men dictate the morality or something like that?
No, no, women. The morality of women dictates the the society, the function of society. So we're either going to function like like Sodom and Gomorrah, like we are now in America, right? Or we're going to function as people who, or we're going to have girls that respect their bodies and encourage and only want commitment before they give themselves up.
Can I say this right here? If you ever look at, like, you know, those the reels, and you have the I don't want to say, you know, the guys from other countries, and it's like, you know, I take care of my woman, I don't ask her for nothing, I take care of her. They feel show pride in taking care of their women. You know what I'm saying? It's because they hold them up to put them on a pedestal, so to speak. Okay, so then I saw another video, and the guy was like, sometimes women, we praise the wrong thing, and what it does is a positive reinforcement for the wrong thing. So those guys, they want the attention from women, so they continue to do the wrong thing. We're not promoting good things, saying, okay, the guy who does this, like the Russells and everything, he gets all the women. We're promoting like the future instead, and so now you're promoting all guys to be like the future to get all the women. Does that make sense? Am I am I making Am I
Somewhat.
falling short on what I'm trying to say? So
That yeah,
women do hold a lot of power, because a lot of things that men do are is motivated by women.
I
You
tell you
know,
what,
he wants
that's
to be the
true.
CEO, to be the man, because he know women like that. They a
but
lot of
it's vice
moves.
versa because I think a lot of times women do things for the attention of men.
That's the thing that we're not
So
understanding. We both do
we're
it,
It's a,
and
what,
we
reinforcing,
don't
right?
even
We're
y'all are
understand.
reinforcing
finally
the
making
negative
my point.
behavior.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Hmm.
Yes, it is. I know. I agree with that. I was trying to get your point, Mike, but let it say it in a way that mistaken will understand what
Yeah,
I'm
It
trying
is
so
to
a
we're
say.
both reinforcing the negative behavior, and that's why I say both of us are responsible for fixing it. You can't
Mhm.
necessarily put it, I can't as a woman say, well, since you're the head, you need to fix all of this because it falls on you. And as a man, you can't say, well, you're the moral compass of a nation, so
Yeah.
it falls on you. When
No,
both
it's not.
of us
So
are
remember,
behaving in a way that
yeah,
is trying to attract the other person.
and it's not about so that we usually do that in these discussions. It's not about assigning blame. It's about everybody taking individual accountability.
Mm.
Because
Facts, sir.
usually when you'll be like, well, talk to men. I ain't talking to no man. What does that town hall meeting look like, and who the fuck is going to show up for it? You see what I'm saying? I take individual accountability to model my own life after what I want men to do. If you
Mm.
and I do not turn men away who ask me. As you can see, I'm an advocate for marriage and it being done the right way for your children's sake. Meaning that if you want to leave, you can't leave for their sake, right? So I talk that way intentionally so other men can hear it and understand what they need to do in order to make this institution work, right? So individual accountability. If you've watched, it's very hard to get women to be individually accountable. But what about the men? But what about the men? Don't you can't talk to me. You can't talk to me because I've done what I'm supposed to do. I
Mm.
need you to be individually accountable and create one family. That's remember, that's all men used to be responsible for was their own family. How did we
Unless they have
try
one up the street.
exactly and that one up the street too. And that one up the street too. And that was a community, right? So you see that every man used to be responsible, is responsible for his own family. And that's how we create a community to further on our values, principles, and morals, right? So it's the individual accountability that we are suffering with in the black community because everybody's pointing a finger at somebody else.
Hmm.
Well, Trigger Micah, man, I don't know how we're ending up on the opposite side of uh since 1 o'clock, but I don't completely agree with you. I do believe that it's up to men to correct other men, and I also believe that it's up to women to correct other women. To say that you're not moving the right way, this is the right way to move. to stop a young brother going into the dollar store. I've actually done this and
Yeah.
almost ended badly, but ended up getting through, saying, "Hey, pick up your pants, yo. Like, what message are you really trying to give here?"
Yeah.
And I just think that it's up to women at some point to stop saying, "Hey, I don't know her," or "Hey, she ain't in my circle," or "Hey, that she ain't part of my friends group," because I think more often men will have those conversations with other men.
Yeah.
What I don't really see are the conversations like Ebony Williams had the other day. We don't see that type of stuff enough. Have a woman look inside of her own decisions and hold herself to account. Like, but we I think men do hold men accountable. As a matter of fact, Trigger Mike, oftentimes I come on your show to kind of level it a little bit to say, hey, this ain't the He-Man Woman Haters Club. We have to take some responsibility in this shit too. I'm
Mhm.
like, but what I am getting tired of is waiting on women to show up the same way. And the question is, are you guys ever going to show up the same way, or is it, I don't know them?
Yeah. I
I
will say.
I
Let
do
me.
think that women do. I just think that we move differently than men. I think a lot of times, like what you were saying, we're not randomly going to see, like if we see, because I see this all the time, and I ain't gonna front, I don't say it, I don't say nothing, but go into a grocery store and see women that are dressed a certain way, and where they got, oh, that thing that was on Instagram, like that lady who was standing at the airport, and she had her whole ass, no drawers, no nothing, just in the airport line. Like, no woman is gonna go up to her and be like, you need to go put some pants on. Clearly she crazy. So so we're not going to even say nothing. But I know that's an extreme, but I'm saying, like, even seeing now, I'm more apt to say something to a younger, like a teen girl, just because I'm used to working in high school. So if I see certain things, I may say something to that age group versus somebody that's in my age group, where I would say an adult age group, because I do think there's still some remnants of a little respect for adults from teens. So I'm more likely to say something to a teen group versus an adult female group.
I think that but I think that women are just like men. Men are not gonna approach a man they feel they're gonna feel threatened by. They know when a nigga crazy, and they ain't gonna approach just any man. If that nigga like he crazy, I'll see a man just walk up, sir, pull your pants up. You're not gonna say anything to him because you
I've
know
done it.
he got that life. Okay,
Well.
just like
Yeah.
women don't mind when they don't see a threat in it, and they feel like it'll be taken well. They don't mind going and say, hey, you should do this, or I've even seen older women do it, to
Yeah.
kids. Now, am I gonna go to Ratchet Sally, who I see and I know she can beat my ass if stuff pop off? I'm not stupid. I know when a chick can beat my
Not ratchet.
I'm not gonna do it. If she look like she living her life like she got nothing to lose, I got a lot to lose. I'm not, I
Yeah.
can't. I got kids at home. I can't take one for the community team.
Yeah. Let
But
me
if I
see.
do see somebody, and let's just say she just looks like she doesn't know any better, I'm like, look here, girl, you're a beautiful woman. You don't have to do all that.
Mhm.
Put your shirt. You talk to them in a way that's not bringing them down, but it's just teaching them, like, look, you're a beautiful woman. You don't have to do that. You
Yeah.
can get a,
So,
you know,
yeah, we'll
and,
we'll bring a
So
man down though. That's
let me also say, let me not well
shit.
clean my statement up from before. It's not that we don't have a responsibility, but remember, it's never been worldwide or citywide. It was always community wide, right? So, but and you also used to have connections to this person. The reason why I love, I prove myself right, right? I said if you just go into a community and you're friendly with your neighbors, they will feel a spirit to let you know, to just a
Oh, for
closeness
sure.
to you
Your
to
community.
let you know what's going on with your children. Like, hey, I saw your kid in the street, or we're like, hopefully they'll run out and stop.
And we
Like,
don't have that no more, Mike. Only
yeah,
certain
but
neighborhoods.
in my section we do. That's what I'm saying. These boys that we used to feel comfortable with were boys we felt responsible for. Now, we can say it's every man for himself, but we know that when we create a community of fathers, it's weird because we used to think women were the cornerstone of the community, but women tend to struggle to create community without the men. They will bicker with each other and disband. Men are actually so the black community shows us that, oh shit, men are actually the ones. Fathers are the ones that create the community, right? We get along with each other and put our families together so they may get along under our leadership, because without our leadership they don't get along, right? So it was when, not that I wanted my kids to do great and I wanted to provide opportunity for them, it's that I have such a bond with this father over there and this father over there that the second I hear his child needs something and I can do something about it, I'm offering the solution. So we have to also remember it was never a just extended, hey man, I'm Gandhi, I'm giving out, you get a car, you get it. No. It was, I felt something for everyone in my individual community. It still happened today because it's funny that we don't really got a community, but all black people live in the same goddamn place. Miami, Atlanta, Houston, like we all live in the same place, localized. So we could help each other out a whole lot if we got our shit together.
But you know what? But you say we all live in the same place, and you're absolutely right. But we don't, because even in Atlanta, my side of town is probably different from another person's side of town who's different from. Like I'm okay. Like the group in my neighborhood, if I saw a kid, now I feel comfortable with the kids in my neighborhood. Where I'm like, look here, because I know how your parents roll.
Exactly,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to go to somebody else's neighborhood,
exactly.
They mama
like
crazy.
Your mama don't want you in that street.
Listen,
you remember that? Like,
listen, it's to the point where teachers get in trouble just for telling your kid to call you up like your kid crack is showing. Maybe your pants need to be a little bit longer. Bob, you don't tell my kid what to wear. Da, da, da. And it's black and white alike. It ain't just black. It's black and white alike. It's like a trend of what you say mistaken, that parent was like self-expression,
right?
Like, that ain't no self-expression.
And they say that now this came from the white women in the area that I used to work in, that they were trying to enforce dress code because it is dress code in high school is truly it's already out of control. And so I had said something about like what's going on with this dress code, because I'm seeing more ass cheeks and vagina than a freaking gynecologist at this point. No, for real. It was honestly in this regard, it was more of the white girls because of what they were wearing. I think it was like the little tennis skirts was a little style. So that's what they were wearing. And I don't know if, they knew what they were doing, but, going up the stairs, those tennis skirts are very short. So going up the stairs, you're not seeing anything but everything that's under that. And so there are occasions where I stopped the girl, like, come on now. Like, I see everything. And, oh, I didn't know, stop it. But I ended up saying something to the administrative staff, like, what's going on with the dress code? Like, are we giving dress cuts or blah, blah, blah? Like what? And they ended up telling me that they can't really enforce it because when they tried to, these parents went down to the board, begin fussing and saying that, why are y'all policing our girls' bodies? Stop policing their bodies. And so they just fell back and allowed it. And so now you see the girls that are coming in looking like they're going to the club, or they're wearing a long like a sweatshirt that looks like they don't have anything underneath. Like, it's crazy.
What's so funny? My school is so different from yours, mistaken. This is the crazy thing, because she was teaching at the low affluent school. Mine is the big girls who got the crop tops on with the stomachs. I'm like, baby, now you can't even see your belt. you kind of. It used to be a time where if you wore one of those, you had a six pack. You know what I'm saying? Or the bonnets. We don't really get the like. I saw one girl with her shorts, so you can see the color, just but it wasn't to the point where I actually saw the cheek, but you just see the color change where the butt meets the leg. So that was a short. But our issue is more the bonnets with the pajama pants, with the crop tops, but you got a stomach. Or your shirt so small, like it literally just covers this right here, and then everything, like, but you can still see this right here, and then it's like literally like a piece that just goes right here.
I'm
Shan,
curious.
Mike, you're distracted, Mike.
Y'all stupid.
I
He wasn't even paying attention. He wasn't even paying attention.
See how
I do have I have a serious question for both of you educators. As the years have progressed, are you guys seeing more teenage pregnancy or less?
Less.
I don't see.
It's
Yeah,
going down.
I'm asking because I don't know.
rank maybe unless they leave the school. Our rank maybe per year, even in the past. I would see maybe 3 or 4. It wasn't a great majority of, it wasn't like oh my God, these pregnant women. No. I've never seen maybe more than 4. And since then, I've probably seen 1 if.
Yeah,
I've been doing this for 20 years.
Less since when I started teaching. I would definitely say that I'm seeing less pregnancy.
And it's not necessarily among Black women, Hispanic. Like remember one time we saw Hispanic.
Yeah,
we had a similar student.
Yeah, I would definitely say less. And the stats showing that kids are, even though they are being sexually active, that pregnancy has gone down.
So,
but that sex ain't going down. They get it in.
Oh yeah, we know that.
They get it in.
Well, actually, it said that when the show 16 and Pregnant or whatever first came out, they did a study, and it was a direct correlation between that and pregnancy rates dropping. So, I guess.
Yeah. Now we're talking about getting it in. So, they're still having sex because that camera.
Not that they're not having sex. Okay. At least they're having protected sex.
Oh yeah.
That camera.
They be getting it in at school, like the cameras don't work.
So let's do some math.
2 seconds, Mike. This really happened. I gotta tell you a story. So mistaken classroom used to be right next to mine, right? And there was a student who was caught having NCX, and they was doing it in Mistaken's room. Now I said, so she was in her room cleaning the room up, trying to disinfect the room. This helper did not clean the desk. I said, Mistaken. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, think about a fantasy. The fantasy will be on your desk. She's like, nah, but my paperwork, it ain't moved. It's in the same spot. You know what I'm saying? So she cleaned up the whole room like, I bet it was all these places, right? I'm sitting here trying to tell her, nah, nigga, I think you should look at the desk. She's like, but my paperwork, like everything is the same. The kid comes back to class. I said, I'm just curious. Where were y'all? He's like, oh, we was on that desk. I was like, ah!
I made him get that nice off. I made him clean my desk off. I sure did.
It was lazy. She was touching.
And then I fussed at him like, how are you going to be disrespectful to me? Like, your disrespect, that is just complete disrespect. You had all of this space, and you're going to choose my desk?
Listen, I got a frat brother.
I told you.
Actively trying to get me to go into their fast track principal program for HISD. I said, no, thank you. Like, I'm a realist, and I was like, dude, I can't make no impact at no high school. Put me in the elementary school, we could talk.
But middle school may not be a bad place.
Put me in elementary school.
H to the no. Middle school is the worst because that's
what I'm saying is to stop it. Like if he gets them 6th graders and just try to talk them some sense into
I want them young.
Mm-hmm.
I want
6th grade is pretty young.
Those high schoolers already turned out. I don't want nothing to do with
it. Yeah, between 5th and 6th grade, I would definitely say so.
Elementary school
5.
I will change
I
lives.
overheard a student saying that you can't get pregnant if you pee afterwards. I said, I can't even say nothing because I'm not supposed to have that.
On my day, it was like if you did it standing up, you couldn't get pregnant because
That's probably how you got pregnant too. It's probably how you got pregnant.
And I couldn't even say nothing because they won't even allow us to have those conversations.
Look,
So I just had to let her go with that in her mind.
Not only was everybody drastically wrong, I think as men, we hear those type of wives' tales and we look at each other like, look, I was pretty sure the day, because it was my wife's fault. The night she got pregnant, I was like, yeah, she probably pregnant. There's nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do with that. Them things, women, that's a million. What is it? A million? One of them shits is gonna get up there.
Ugh, sorry.
You realize, hold on, because I had to say this. Do you realize that we're all special because we're the one that made it?
Yes, I tell
we
myself
are all
that
special.
all the time.
You are one in a million. You go, you.
Mm-hmm.
You are one in. We were all put on this earth for something special. Out of the million sperm our daddy shot in our mama, we were the one that made it. You know, you would look different if it was another one. You would look different. That's crazy.
Mike, I think you need to be in high school though, for real, for real. I think that's where you would have the bigger impact on the males, because I see how it looks with the coaches. You have some of the guys who are terrible to their teachers. You have the teachers and who do they contact? They contact the coach, because that coach is the one that have the bigger influence on them. So I definitely think, especially to their transitioning out of high school into the real world, that's where you want to provide that type of structure, the things that are going to help them become better men once they leave high school, because you might be the only contact of that good male role model that they would
say I was down for that. I'm sorry, because I've had experience working in the schools in different ways, not as a educator. Unfortunately, we're at the spot now where what needs to be done to actually break through to these kids is no longer allowed. You see what I'm saying? What needs to be done is no longer allowed. They will, if you are intense with the kids, you'll get fired. If you have a opposing opinion about certain thing or your intervention methods, you'll get fired. That's why that's why I'm saying I would actually, if I was allowed to be me, I could change somebody in high school. But no, they will censor you, right? Or they'll do what's going on in Katy High School now? I think no, they did what needs to be necessary. I'll go work there. They said that they're not calling anybody by their pronouns or none of that shit. Like they did away with all that. I could go work there. That when I was instructor at a college, that happened to me. What is it called when it's a girl that's trying to be a boy? A trans man. Given name was on the sheet, or was on my roll on the first day of class for that term. I said it. She's like, I'd like to be called Michael. I'm like, your name is, whatever it was on the sheet. So I'm like, I'll try to remember tomorrow. The next day, I said the name again. She's like threw a whole fit. And I was like, what the I had to transfer that student out of my class. And I was like, am I going to get fired for this shit? They had called me.
Right. It should be changed in the system.
The director. That's why I'm like, if you don't
you're
change
not
it
wrong if it's not changed in the system.
That's the type of shit they doing now in the school. It's like, if you don't, they won't let you, they don't let you use common sense, or they're not on your side. They're on the student side. I'm not putting up with that shit.
I had a parent.
I say he, she, according to what you look like. If you look like you dressing like a female, it's a she. If you look like you a dude,
with that, bro. I said, this is what it says on the sheet.
That's all. It don't take. Well, on my roster doesn't say he or she.
Your mama name Clay. I'm gonna call you Clay.
If you wearing a wig, because I got one kid in my class, he wear wigs, and he be like, "Oh, Miss Pitts," and he take it off, and he put the other one back on. When he get mad, he like, "Oh, they done brought her out," and he'll put the other one on with a little swoop. No lie. He has different wigs for different questions. Like if he answer a question, I'm gonna be her today, and he'll answer the question. I know. A lot. Bless her little heart.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Mike.
This is my second year having her in my class.
It's the parents.
But you can tell the difference. Like I said, if she dressed like a female, I just say her. If it's that's all I can do. You know what I'm saying?
This shit is not okay.
Ain't gonna be no if I'm the principal of a elementary school, aren't gonna be no drag shows, none of that stuff. A boy is a boy, a girl is a girl. And here's the worst part about it. People have made it so to call us homophobic for having this conversation at all, but I actually have a very logical reason as to why. Because you understand the reason they're coming after kids is because they're trying to change their perversion into science. And you can't do that with a logical minded adult. So you have to indoctrinate a child. You see what I'm saying? So the reason why, like, I think before I had a son, I think we would just say, I don't want my son to be gay. He ain't gonna be gay. But then you actually have the son and you're like, this kid might make his own life choices. Now, if he ended up being other than hetero, I'd probably still love him anyway. But the one thing I do not want is his decision to be coerced.
Mm.
So you have to understand this. So the one thing that if I could give a name to what I think that entire movement, if what I've noticed about it, growing up watching it, it's confusion. Everybody confused about what they are, even when they're certain. They wait 5 years, they're confused again, and they want to try something different. So how are you going to? It's not an exact science. It's
well,
not
maybe
exact
it's
science.
just not. You know what? This is how I feel. I'm at a point now where I just don't. I disagree with so many things people do. It don't even matter because it's them. You know, do you? As long as if it don't have to do with me, I don't care who you're sleeping with. I don't care who you want to be today. I don't care. I just don't care.
Well,
I
it's
just
not
don't.
even
I
about.
don't care. I got so many things to care about for me.
Yeah, but it's not
I
about the
just don't have
individual.
enough room.
It's about them teaching the children stuff. So I
Well,
want it.
nobody
So
teaches that. Like, I don't. You know, it's not in the. If you're saying people at
Well, it depends on what state you're in. The more liberal states, like from what I hear in California, is off the chain with a lot of the stuff that they're doing. So I think it depends on the state. But
yeah,
just in general, my whole thing is kind of like what you were saying, Mike. I've had these conversations with my children, which I think that's where it needs to start. It needs to start in the home, with conversations around that. So when they're in the school system, that while there may be a level of influence, the bigger influence, like I beat you to it. You know what I'm saying? But I've told my children, we've had these conversations, like if that's who you are or what direction you're choosing, I'm not going to love you any less. That's not ever, ever, ever going to change. However, for me as a parent and what I stand on is just still going to be certain things that you're not going to be allowed to do. And that is one of them. Like, we're not going to support, the if you're my son, you're not going to be wearing dresses, you're not, like, those are the conversations that we had. And I'm like, it's not because I don't love you, but for me it's just rules in general. Just like I'm not going to allow you to be smoking weed in a house or drinking in a house. I'm going to set parameters. There's going to be rules in my house that you're going to have to follow until you leave. Now once you leave, whatever you do on that end, I no longer have any responsibility or control over that. And you live your life. But when you come here, these are my expectations. And that's it.
and here's so the professor said we do teach it. We teach it in the vision, all this kind of stuff. Whatever. When it comes to music, yeah. But to me, my main concern is the marriage. We can only tackle one thing at a time. Maybe if we get that under control, our community, we gotta learn how to do to control things we can't control. Control not having kids out of wedlock. Control getting married. Control closing your legs to every man who blow your way. Control not manipulating people. Those are things that we can control. We have so many issues, and maybe if we got our community together, everything it'll be a trickle down. Everything else will just make sense. Okay,
it will.
But but as long as everything is dysfunctional, whether the family unit or all these kind of things, that's what things are gonna happen.
You know what the precursor to that change, that eventuality is suffering. But the one thing we can't skip over is that all of the shit that we're doing is sin. That's the word everybody knows it as. And there is no correction or solution of sin before repentance and suffering. People have to suffer for the shit that they've done. If there's women out here and men out here that knocked women up and thought they could run away, you're gonna suffer for that shit, dog. You're gonna suffer. If you a woman is keeping a child away from his daddy, knowing his daddy want to see him, and you think you can raise a man by yourself, you're gonna suffer for that shit, lady. And then after that, after the kids and their kids have seen the result of the suffering due to the choices that these people have made, then because they have no choice, they will make better choices. But
Well,
we ain't getting nowhere.
I would say that some of that happens now because even like with my husband, he didn't have his dad grown. His parents were married and divorced. He didn't have his dad there, but he knew he wanted a different outcome for his life. So I think that's where it starts a lot of times, that even though you may be in a situation, it doesn't have to determine your outcome. If you know you want a different outcome, like AP said, you begin to search ways in which to have a better outcome. So for him, he knew what it was like to have a father and then not have one. So for him, his marriage became priority. Like, we're staying together no matter what. Whatever storm we have, we're going to weather through that ish, and we're going to work it out, because I don't want my children to experience what I went through.
Yeah. And do you know what, if you got to ask your husband, you know what he'll say prompted him to want to do better than his dad did?
What?
He suffered. He suffered because of his dad's decisions. He suffered.
Absolutely.
That is the part that people not understanding. When we have this discussion, everybody wants to skip straight to the solution. Well, what's the solution now that I fucked up? Oh no, you got to suffer first. Come holler at me when your children ain't doing nothing, and because you didn't prioritize letting them see his daddy, he in jail. Like, you see what I'm saying? Holler at me then you'll know what real suffering is, and then possibly his child could do better than him. It's terrible, but we expect people to be smarter than this and make better decisions for the sake of their kids, but we are really living in a true degeneracy. Like the fact that Sexy Red and Sukiana even have their song repeated on the radio is signs that we're in a true degeneracy, yo.
I love that analogy, but that the way you said that, Mike. There is suffering on before you can get to the solution. I completely agree.
Everybody try to skip it though.
We often forget that the rainbow came after the rain.
Oh, go ahead, AP. Pastor AP with the goatee. Killing them.
My husband said something. We were talking recently, and that was something along the lines of what y'all are saying too. He was like, in order to understand peace, you have to have experience with chaos. Yep. That's how you can appreciate the peace. And I was like, oh wow. He was like, everything has a polar opposite, and in order for you to truly understand it, you're going to have to experience one to appreciate the other.
You know what's so funny though? People not paying attention to the disasters that's being they don't look at it as being a bad thing. They like, okay, because we're just so
sometimes we can normalize chaos.
Yes, we can they normalize it. Like, everybody's doing it. Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. So what, I lied to her. So what, I lied to him. It's like, what? You okay with doing people like that?
No, it's gonna manifest itself one way or another, that people cannot escape it. So what did I say the other night? So think about it. For every action, there's equal but opposite reaction. Okay. You did not you, anybody here, anybody that did not prioritize creating a stable and functional home for their children. The natural consequence of that is that in your time of need, your children will not prioritize creating a stable place for you in your last days. We
Facts.
have evidence of that happening right now. So when people ask what marriage is for and what marriage is about, it's to give your children an example of so your son can do what you, the husband, did for his mom, and a daughter can seek out what the dad did and add value to her husband the same way. And
Mhm.
by that example, the children know exactly what to do for you in your old age by their father's decree. Right? My dad told me when I was 19 years old, if I end up dying, I thought he was sick. Like I was like, "You sick or something?" No. He said, "You have life insurance. Don't give your sister money. She's irresponsible. She will kill herself with that amount of money." He told me the amount. So he said, "Don't split it 4 ways." He said, "See where she has need and remedy the need, but do not give her money."
Mhm.
Right? So and he said, "If somehow you run out of that money or whatever, you sell this house. It will be paid for by the time I leave this earth." Right? He never had to have an explicit discussion on what to do with my kids or my mom, right? I know because of his example, that's what I must do for my mother. And me, my brother's the mama's boy. He probably gonna take her. Like he probably gonna fight. Like I was like, oh, you won, nigga. Like, but he the mama's boy, right?
Uh,
So yeah, we know what to do. And because she was so intentional about providing for us everything, the love, the attention, the meeting our needs, tending to our needs, and we know what to do for her. So imagine all the people in this day that did not prioritize that for their kids. They fought with the dad. They kept the kid away from the father. They had spats in the open. They had men running through their house. Do you think those children will prioritize you in their old age? You got another thing coming. That is
Mhm.
a natural consequence to your behavior. You will suffer for what you did. And
I got a
I talk the way I do because the amount of people that have
I
now
got a
are now doing this egregious behavior is it's all too much.
It's crazy.
you
Go
did a
ahead, AP.
Stacy pause, an AP pause. I got a question to all three of you. Okay, and this is right along the lines of what Trigger Mike was just talking about. We know where we are. We know where we need to be. What does that suffering period actually look like? What happens during that suffering period to get to the other side as you guys see it? What pitfalls, what will we run into? What does that look like for men and women so that we can transition back to a real state of of community success?
Well, AP, the average American does not have $400 in savings. The average. I think so. Jordan Peterson said, if you are moored shallowly, for those of y'all who don't know what that is, if you are bound to a dock, if you are barely bound to anything, the way a boat is bound to a dock, a storm will wreck you. You see what I'm saying? So anything monetary related, I look at it like black men are screwed because we have so many women unmarried, which is another way of saying we have so many unprotected women that in a time of need when women need protection, all black men are better off being bandits than they are being good men. Any good man is going to be overwhelmed with the amount of women he has to care for. At my house will be my mother-in-law, all my wife's sisters, and she got a lot of them shit, right? Because some of them did not prioritize being married. So now everybody want to draw off the strongest man in the group, which is me. That shit is like it's gonna be terrible to be a black man when shit hits the fan. You'd be better off saying fuck everybody and going off on your own than actually taking care of your own people. Because we have so many unprotected women out here. Anything will wreck. Anything is gonna wreck us, bro. Any little thing.
But the question is, how do we resolve it? And I think that's what he's getting to. Like, we know we're wrecked, but what are
Oh,
some steps that we can take to,
oh
I
shit.
guess,
I don't think you want to
minimize
hear
damage?
I don't think you want to hear that answer, AP. I don't think you want to hear that answer.
I wouldn't ask the question if A, I had a predetermined answer, and B, I didn't want
Oh,
to
shit.
hear what your
Y'all
thoughts
need
are.
to start
And this
taking
is for
y'all kids
everybody.
back to church. Y'all need to take y'all's kids back to church.
My
Well,
kids in
I think y'all had said it earlier. It's about self-reflection. because I think everything starts with the individual first. You can't talk about a community. You can't talk about any of those things until you identify those adjustments that you need to make in yourself. Because once you make those adjustments, then you can take that knowledge and pass it on to try to avert issues with the next generation or with your, with your family unit. So I think that's what it is. Like, we know we don't like the outcome. The work comes in, well, what can I do to change it? What can I do to change my outcome? So if I am single and I I've told y'all my story, for I got pregnant before I actually got married. You know what I'm saying? But I had guidance. I just didn't listen to it. Everything my mom told me not to do, because you're going to end up pregnant, I did. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, though, I would say my situation was a little different because I also understood what the expectation was. Like, you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have a family, So that became my expectation. So I think it starts from setting what that new expectation is supposed to look like, and then you live to that example.
Yeah.
So you're not just saying it, you're actually showing how it can be done. So then that next generation of like your kids or whatever can see that example that you've set.
So I don't even want to get too biblical because I don't even remember the exact. Some of y'all are might Bible thump, so help me out here. What I will say, because Rasharda said she wants to hear my solution. Those that can will. I am one that can. AP is one that can. Mistaken is one that can. Shan is one that can. What you can do, like, meaning if you prioritize creating your family and making sure, putting all the necessary things in place, because if you haven't noticed, society kind of corrects itself, right? So you don't really need to strive to correct it. It corrects itself. It's, if you'll notice, in Dubai, not, or Abu Dhabi, one of those places, they are building a wall between the haves and the have-nots, like Hunger Games type shit. They're building a wall to say, if you don't make a certain amount of money or live a certain type of lifestyle or have certain type of beliefs, you will live on one other side of the wall. And that's going to be the natural consequence. That's the natural solution. Everybody, I think in the Bible it basically says let them suffer. What book was that? The people who have trespassed this bad, they will not repent. That's what we mean when we say women, like too many women and men are doubling down on their behavior. You've been told it's wrong, you see the wrongs, and you're doubling down and doing that shit again. So it's like, let them burn so those will know I am real. Let them burn and die so people understand that this shit is real. So that's the natural example that's going to happen for society to correct itself. The people who have done the worst, they will not repent. They will be saying they're independent. They will be saying they don't need men. The men who are still out here creating babies irresponsibly, all of them have to suffer and be seen suffering. So people can live in fear enough to change their ways. That is the solution. I'm sorry, it's pessimistic as hell, but it's real.
So
Okay, you guys, we're gonna be summing this up like last minute.
yeah, and again, so since we're summing it up, I apologize for my tardiness. I'm typically on time. I'm actually typically early and ready to go. Um, from what I heard, this was a good conversation, and I think we need more women to have that same realization that Ebony K or whatever that initial is, need them to have that, come to that conclusion and speak on it. I think men, we need to stop saying it's women's fault, start owning our own shit, and start disregarding the women who aren't worth our time.
Yeah.
And I think those are good starting places. Just my opinion.
Shan, I know we're about to wrap this up, but I want your input. And guys, I definitely want your input. So, one of the things that has been put on my heart to do, I got to figure out when and how, but I do want to start like maybe a mentorship at my current school for the young girls that are there at high school. What would be some things, I guess, from a man's perspective that you would want me as a woman trying to, I guess, teach or influence the young girls at the school in terms of what they should be doing now from a man's perspective to be, I guess, marriageable at a, later on in their age.
The book has already been written, and you don't have to do this. Is not it's nothing new. It's basically what has always been. It's sad that we have fallen this far down as a society, but we actually have to go back to teaching common courtesy. And the reason why it's necessary is because what I've realized recently is that we have taught throughout a generation and even maybe two generations, we have the kids have misinterpreted the nuance in the teaching of certain parents. When a parent says respect is earned, not given, you accidentally left it up to a child to interpret the nuance in that. Some children believe I don't have to give common courtesy if I don't want to. So respect is defined as like deep admiration or whatever. What it really means is common courtesy is given to everyone. You have respect and courtesy for the human condition, for the fact that somebody woke up and is trying the same way you're trying and breathing every day. Common courtesy is always given. And so we have to undo a lot of the bad teaching because a lot of them have been not only interpreted nuance, it was reinforced by our trash ass culture. It was reinforced to be a bad bitch. It was reinforced to not let anybody talk to you any kind of so that they just have been misinterpreting all of this stuff. And the worst part, and it's really the Gen Z and the what is it called Gen Alpha now, they have no idea why they suck at work or why they're getting fired. They have no idea.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So I believe them now when they say they don't know. I deal with this with the students I have. We have job placement programs like, why are these people tripping? I was only 5 minutes late. Like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Your sense of entitlement is crazy. You don't realize that this is a functioning business and you work the front desk. You're the first person in the building that need to be there, right? So yeah, it's the simple things that we got to teach: common courtesy, respect, tact. All it. The book has already been written. The same thing we have been teaching, but and for girls especially, you need to teach it to them as an art, and you can teach it through art. That's something we don't do in the Black community. The reason why I was really into martial arts is not just for the fighting or anything. This is why people who do martial arts don't fight people unless they're in the octagon. It's because what is taught more in there is respect, common courtesy, self-love. Like all that type of stuff is taught in addition to the punching and kicking. So try to teach it through an art of some sort. And for women, let them know it's not about being docile. It is for their empowerment. That is actually how women become empowered. Use your true power, use your femininity, use your nature to influence this world the way that you want. They have no idea. Like I look at women trying to be men and use our behaviors. They're like not even a quarter man. It's like if you're trying to be me, you're not even a quarter worth of me, and you're not practicing being a woman, so you're only half a woman. Teach them how to be a full woman and how much strength that has in their life, and how they can quell a storm. Teach them about Cleopatra, how she had kings eaten out of her hand, like stuff like that. So make femininity cool again.
So, Trigger Mike, there at the end, you kind of stole what I was about to say. It's the emotional control piece of it. The power is not in the volume of your voice or the depth of your voice. It's the fact that you can control any situation by remaining in your feminine frame.
Ooh.
Learn that emotional control. That is the number one thing that I see in the schools where I coach is that the young women have no emotional control. They want to yell, they want to be loud, because the second part that I would say is that it's okay to be a social leopard, but it's really like you could never teach that. You'd never they'd never buy into that. To be okay with not being with the girls that are loud, that you are unable to reach. But it is, and that's okay. But I don't know how I don't know how you would teach that.
No, I need to just topics. I can figure that part out myself. Mine is just from a male perspective. What would you want? Like if this was your daughter or anything, what would you want them to know? And
You know what? You know what it is too. You know
mentorship.
what it
So
is.
that was where I was going.
You have a mountain to climb with this one, but what you actually need to teach purpose, because what
Oof.
I see right now is that women are struggling. They have an inner turmoil going on. Most of the battles that they're fighting with men are not about men at all. They're not about men at all. Men
Mhm.
are just there, and they're the ones getting um the what do you call it, projection of what women are going through. Imagine a woman who has dedicated her entire life to becoming something in her career to find out that she doesn't even like to work. That's some that it does not even fulfill her, that she does not see her children. Because let me give you an example. This is why I say the things that I say. Um when somebody says something like, well, a man needs to acquiesce and let that woman become the career woman she wants to be. What, check this out. A father acquiesces, right? He says, you know what? I'm not going to take that job because it requires me to go into the city. I'm going to stay at my stay at home job so I can help with the kids more. I'm going to get dinner started. You work late, you get that promotion. I got you. When a woman tells you she wants that, as a man, sometimes you need to know better if you understood a woman's nature and her purpose. This happened to a friend of mine. He did everything his wife asked. Then the school started to call him when the children were having trouble. The children were asking him for things that they would normally ask the mom for. All of these things depressed his wife. Why aren't the kids coming to me no more? Why aren't they treating me like their mother? Why is the school calling you and not keeping me involved? Because he is now doing everything that most of the moms do for the other kids. So that depressed her because now she doesn't feel like a mom. She just feels like somebody who works. Because now they realize their purpose is not work. Your purpose is to be here with these children. This is the best and most significant parts of their lives and bonding with you in their relationship. And you're missing it. You're not at the PTO because you're at work. You're not, I'm saying it's a PTO for us. I don't know what it is for y'all. You're not at the PTO meetings with the other moms. You don't get to bake cakes on Sundays because you sleep because you're tired from work, right? So it's like when women miss out on that picture of actually being a mother to their children, they start to realize their purpose. But some women have done it way too late after they've engulfed themselves with a career that does not fulfill them.
Mhm.
So what you need to tell them is they can actually do both, and they must never give up your actual purpose in life for some manufactured purpose of a job or anything. You cannot find fulfillment in that. Our purpose on this earth is family. It is family and balance in all of those things, in all of those areas. The second you start to give more to one than the other, it will depress you. You will, and I don't think a lot of women know that balance at all.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go. Oh, that's I was just about to say read the last one and then we're gonna go. Big Ant, $10. Thank you, Big Ant. Why do you get mad at me for treating you like an ass when you don't know me, but turn around and the first thing that you show me is your ass?
I think that's from one of the earlier conversations that we were having.
All
All
right,
right, you
Shannon.
guys. Okay, you guys. Well, thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We know we started extremely late. It's because I'm on Central Standard Time, and I just was not ready. But anyway, thanks guys for hanging in there. We'll see you next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At least that's the goal, between 9-ish and 10-ish, 11. Anyhow, good night, everyone. See you later next week. All right.
Good night.
Bye-bye.